Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Oskar Quentin Show, where I talk about politics with strangers on the internet who call into my show through TikTok Live. If you're watching this after the fact on YouTube, you'll find a pinned comment that tells you when the first conversation starts, as well as more comprehensive timestamps and descriptions of the calls in the description below. So check it out if you want to jump around and find where you want to watch. Today's an interesting day because there's a new source that I've added and I've bookmarked. I got to thank somebody. Oh, I wish Discord would show me full usernames. Who is this? Who sent it? It says C ... How about show me their username? What's going on here? Who is this on the Discord? Discord, for some people, it only shows me one first initial of their name. But anyway, we have a new study on the criminology of immigrants that I want to get into and read a little bit of before we get started today, because I have talked a lot about this statistic that illegal immigrants are 2.5 times less likely to commit violent crimes. That was from a study in Texas, and Texas is a good place to study illegal immigrants because they have a really high population of illegal immigrants. But that doesn't make a study on those illegal immigrants a little bit unrepresentative of studies in the rest of the country. And I have been perfectly happy to admit on the air before that the sample size of that study wasn't enormous. Now, 2.5 is such a large factor that, to my reckoning, even if the sample size is a little bit small, we can expect that the factor is still reasonably large. But this new study that we have, I'm going to read some of the description here in this article about it. If I get my Chrome viewer up, here we go. This article is titled "Large-Scale Study Finds No Link Between Crime and Unauthorized Immigration." And then they do immediately link to the actual article, which is posted in the Journal of Urban Affairs. But I just want to read a little bit about this, because this is going to become the reference point for people to talk about the criminology of immigrants, because we haven't had so comprehensive a study as this one at all yet. I'm going to read some of the methodologies. For more than 2 decades, Kubrin has followed the data wherever it leads. As UC Irvine Chancellor's Professor of Criminology, Law, and Society, she has built a career studying one of America's most politically charged questions: does immigration drive crime? That is the question, right? That is what we're talking about in the politics of America in 2026. Now, in one of the most geographically detailed studies of its kind ever conducted, Kubrin and colleagues have an answer. Consistent with the research base more generally, unauthorized immigration does not drive crime rates in U.S. neighborhoods, says Kubrin, the study's lead author. Honestly, I wasn't too surprised. And it goes into some of the qualifications of the people who worked on the study, and then talks about this very important piece of information at the bottom here, which is that we look at crime trends across 11,500 neighborhoods representing 46 million residents. This sample size is enormous. Now, that doesn't mean that they studied the lives of 46 million people. That doesn't mean that they interviewed 46 million people. It just means that the data they looked at represented areas where the population totaled 46 million people, which is much bigger than the Texas crime study that led us to be able to say that illegal immigrants commit 2.5 times less crimes. Furthermore, what they found, neighborhoods where the share of undocumented residents grew actually saw greater reductions in property crime and no significant change in violent crime, contrary to what many claim. The gap between what researchers know and what the public believes is nothing new, Kubrin notes, citing something from 100 years ago. Here we go. Nearly 100 years ago, the Wickersham Commission published a report showing that involvement in crime is lower among immigrants than the native-born, she says. A finding that made its way onto the front page of the New York Times in an article titled "Wickersham Board Frees Foreign-Born of Big Crime Blame." That title says it all. To estimate the undocumented population at the neighborhood level, the research team accessed restricted individual-level census data through a Federal Research Data Center, RDC, and then applied an imputation method similar to those used by the Department of Homeland Security. I had to look this word up. It could mean a couple of things in this context. What it means is just attributing the cause of crime to a population in an area studied. And they're using the same methods that the Department of Homeland Security themselves use, which will hopefully quell some of the chuds who want to call in and say that this isn't accurate for some other such reason as like the methodology being bad. Apparently they're using the same imputation methods as Department of Homeland Security. Sure, people are going to dig more into the actual article and actually dig into the research. I found out that this article existed about 20 minutes before going live today, and I speed read it with Jessie, who's in the producer's chair today, to just make sure I had a background on it. So we do have to dig into all of this and find it. We got Hoppy saying source is Wikipedia. Get fucked, loser. The source is federal data from the census. Anyway, back to being serious and reading this. Here is where they relied upon expertise of Christopher, who received his training at UC Irvine, going on about more and more about the researchers. Leveraging such a method. Different versions of these methods have been around for decades. How else would anyone be able to know roughly how many undocumented people are in the United States? He says, at UCI, I encountered a paper with an adaptation of the methods that I found credible and wondered, why aren't more researchers using this? So I reproduced this method and adapted it for a different data set to address other unanswered questions about the role of undocumented status. But our study, to my knowledge, is the first to apply these methods to the rich data that exists only in the RDC, which was that research data center, which includes census data kept by the federal government. Previous research has examined the unauthorized immigration crime link only at the state and metropolitan area levels, the researchers say, which is, like I was saying, that figure about illegal immigrants committing 2.5 times less violent crimes than others, that's one such study that focuses on that type of locality. In that case, it happened to be Texas. While previous studies are clear about the broader relationship between immigration and crime, say for city crime rates, none has really adequately addressed the concern I still hear along the lines of, but should I be worried about illegal immigration in my neighborhood specifically? Christopher explains, I'm an economist by training, but part of the reason I love working in criminology is that when people provide real answers to concerns like these, we're not just helping the general public understand, we're also helping law enforcement understand where to target their efforts to be most effective. I was reading this out loud with Jessie, and I was just saying, my God, this article is mirroring the language I have used about this issue for the entire time I've been live streaming. So finally somebody has bottled it up into one fucking study that I can reference instead of just asking people to believe that I have a good interpretation of the data that exists. One study finding required closer examinations. This is interesting. While property crime fell and aggravated assaults declined significantly in neighborhoods with growing undocumented populations, robberies went up. Does that mean undocumented immigrants are committing more crimes? The research team says the evidence points in the opposite direction, towards victimization, not perpetration. An increase in robberies, despite decreases in all other crime categories, would be consistent with the idea that undocumented immigrants are disproportionately likely to be the targets of robbery, given greater involvement in the cash economy, Hip explains. Because many undocumented individuals lack access to bank accounts and formal financial services, they are more likely to carry cash, making them attractive targets, Hip notes. Fear of deportation also makes them reluctant to report crimes to the police, leaving them more vulnerable. Researchers call it the walking ATM phenomenon, and prior neighborhood-level studies have found consistent evidence for it. The study cannot definitively confirm the victimization explanation for the data, since the data don't identify the immigration status of crime victims. So the question mark there of like whether we would see an overrepresentation of illegal immigrants in crime data. They don't have that exact data, but it's consistent with other studies that do point to that sort of trend, which to me isn't very difficult a leap to make when you have a sample size this large. We would expect that the criminology trends that exist within this sample covering populations that cover 46 million people would reflect the studies that other criminologists have found about crime rates relating to undocumented immigrants. I don't think that that's very much of a leap to make. Findings from the study raise questions about the effectiveness of current immigration policies. The federal government is spending billions on immigration enforcement, citing public safety as the primary justification. Kubrin says there is little evidence to back that up. I think I missed a sentence here, but they said, yes, it's the most plausible interpretation. That's what I was talking about with the large sample size and the fact that you can apply other criminology information and studies to this large sample size. It's well beyond time to rethink immigration enforcement in this country, she emphasizes. These policies are largely ineffective at enhancing public safety and may actually do more harm than good. Enforcement policies, she argues, are built on a flawed premise of widespread immigrant criminality. Beyond that, she says, they tend in practice to target low-level offenders rather than serious criminals. They damage trust between immigrant communities and police, making residents less likely to report crime or victimization. And they carry profound human costs, including the psychological trauma experienced by U.S.-born children whose parents are deported. Beyond the crime statistics lies a broader social and economic toll. The team points to a study led by Lester, UCI Associate Professor of Urban Planning and Public Policy, which found that the Orange County businesses lost nearly $59 million in economic output over just 8 weeks following an intensified federal immigration enforcement. With policies like these, no one wins, Kubrin says. And I'll add, to close on that as a resident of Minneapolis, our number for Metro Surge, the most recent federal enforcement action here that took place between December and March, was $600 million. So This article studies data that's a little bit older than that, but the pattern we see under Trump's greater enforcement efforts in the second administration reflect what is being shown in this article. So I'm going to have to look at the actual research paper itself. I'm going to have to look at some of the data and how it's packaged and presented. I'm going to have to become an expert on this source because it's the source I've been fucking waiting for. Because the data is there about the criminality. Let's get the backup account in the corner. If you're watching on TikTok, make sure you're following over here. Anyway, I just wanted to spend a few moments at the top of today's show breaking that down. Tiffany's thanking me for breaking that down. Thank you very much. And the Shadow Knows just sent 5 gift memberships over on YouTube, which means that 5 more people get to be in the members only stream that happens Sunday evenings usually, but also other times potentially. I do appreciate you doing that. I love people hanging out for the members only stream, kicking it with me without having to worry about putting on a good show and having, dense airtime and getting rid of all the dead air and pleasing the algorithms and all that garbage. Nope. The purpose of the members only stream is to just kick it and hang out, chill out, and enjoy the community we've built. Francisco sent me $3 on Venmo to say, thanks for introducing me to the mountain goats on that one episode. Listening to them right now. Shout out to Mayor Jesse Wormtongue and Raven. Shout out to the staff. Shout out to Raven, who got like a winner of a clip that's cooking away on Instagram. I got one that I think is going to get 1 million views and thousands of followers. Yay. Been a little while since we had one of those. Anyway, I think we want to get into the show and get some calls started. So let's get everything up on the screen that we like to have. And somebody tell me, on Discord, the person who sent this link this morning, I can't get it to show me their username. Can you figure out who that is, Jesse, so we can thank them properly? Can you get on your phone? I think it's showing me truncated usernames to make the screen better for layout. But
do we know for sure that they want to be called out?
We'll just have them let me know in the operational chat if they want to be called out. I just want to thank them. I'm really glad that got sent to me this morning. Stuff gets sent to me every single day on Discord, and I do my best to sift through all the news and make sure I'm educated. But that one really stood out to me.
Speaking of thanking people, we had 2 winners of our logo and merch design.
We did. Who were our 2 winners? You take the floor on that one.
Yeah, let me get it pulled back up so I don't misspeak on anyone. Our Discord user Maxstore has created the merch design that's going to go on our first set of shirts. So thank you so much, Maxstore. Beautiful designs from everyone, by the way, but especially Maxstore. And then our new logos and everything that were created that should be showing up soon is Geo. I don't know if Oscar's going to pull them up. This was Geo.
Hold on, let me get both of these up.
JK, LOL.
There we go. Here's Maxstore.
Okay, yeah, here's Maxstore's merch design. Just absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, love the aesthetic here. I think I'm gonna change Get Schooled because we've got Change Minds, Stand on Business, which is the things that we do, and then Get Schooled is what the collar does. So I want them to all 3 to be the things that we do instead of what happens to the collar. There's a little beat change there. So minor alterations will happen to these, but I am wildly excited about this design. I love it.
And if you're someone who happens to be looking for someone to work in graphic design for you and want any information on either of these people, feel free to private message me because we would be a fool not to advertise our very talented Discord members. So thank you guys both. Huge. They will get shouted out again when the merch goes live, and I'll be throwing their info in the description. This is my favorite page because one of these things is not like the other. Well,
yeah, they left in this little gag. They were like, oh no, I forgot to delete that. No, it's funny. We like
literally made our day so funny.
But specifically this one at the bottom right, I really like. It's got the star cutting into the O and the Q of my name. That's the same star that's up here on the Minnesota state flag. And then the cut in it is the same, and the colors. I really like that one. So anyway, those are the winners from our design contest. So those will get a little bit of alterations, and you guys will start seeing some better branding because I've made it like 6 months into this thing, like without a logo. But there's always stuff there's always stuff to work on, and that's been one of them for a long time. So I'm really excited to get that out of the way and get cooking on some merch. Thank you, Jack, for the $5 on Cash App. He said MAGA after hearing a study, but they're brown. Yeah, it's gonna be fun just having people try to poke holes in this study. We already got people in the chat saying, though, this is such an uneducated live. And it's like, what are you fucking talking about? I'm reading an article.
Reading a study.
Well, it's an article about a study.
The Discord is saying that when you're in streamer mode, it shortens the names on the Discords to keep from doxing people. So how cool that Discord is aware of how to do that.
Lucky Phil sent $2 on Buy Me a Coffee to say, sounds like you have streamer mode enabled on Discord. I think that's the setting I hit that I'm like not remembering how to fix. Settings, streamer mode options. There's a toggle to truncate usernames. Also, the Mountain Goats are great, but have you heard of the Arrogant Worms? Their song Carrot Juice's Murder is awesome. I can't tell if that's a real recommendation or a joke from Lucky Phil, because all of his messages are jokes. But thank you, Lucky Phil. I appreciate that. All right, let's get on to callers. Was Theo our last caller yesterday? Not
the very last one, not the mean-spirited fella, but Theo, I do think we owe another chance because you're like, nope, couldn't figure out this driving question, therefore they are a minor. But you asked them about a yield sign, and you said it's yellow with a red border.
Did I say it wrong?
Later, you said it's white with a red border.
I mixed it up.
You moved the goalpost on him real quick and booted him in the process.
I misspoke. I wasn't moving the goalpost. I'll give him another chance.
But yeah, I do believe you might want to ask another question.
I'll let you start this call. They say they're 18. I remember that. What's your question for them, Jesse?
Theo, we're getting a lot of background noise.
Yeah, I know. I'm outside.
What year did you graduate high school?
Yeah, right? They heard you. They heard the first thing you said, and then you asked them what year they graduated high school, and that one you should know, right?
Yeah, it should be literally, 2026. That's very easy.
Yeah, 20, right. They're 18.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here being like, I know it was 2013 for me. I don't have to think that hard about it. But for them, we're talking about something that would have happened like a month and a half ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a minor. No way. Lucky Phil clarified for $2 on Buy Me a Coffee. Real recommendation, real band, real song, funny video on YouTube. Arrogant Worms, Carrot Juice's Murder. Strong recommend.
I wrote it down.
Good. All right, we're going to talk to Agony TXMBW. Is that a friendly? That seems like a friendly username. We shall see. Hello. Hello? How old are you? Are you there? Goodbye. I don't think they meant to join. I think that was a friendly. Lots of friendlies joined by mistake because they get double tapping away on the screen, which is very helpful on TikTok. I try not to spend too much airtime talking about it, but it is important that people engage with the stream to get it pushed out and get more people to see it. Theo is back, but we don't believe him, right? Yeah, they just couldn't tell. Are they in the chat causing a storm? I feel like you got to know what year you graduated high school. Tori's pointing out that they started laughing too when we asked him. Yeah. They had the cope chuckle on that amazingly easy question. Tim, thank you for the $5 on Venmo. Tim says, keep slaying, brother. Thank you, Tim.
I'm willing to throw a block in there because they've been in the queue every 2 seconds since.
Oh, look! As soon as you said it, they bailed. They didn't want to get blocked, so they ran. That's okay. We can find them in the multi-guest section of the analytics after today's episode and get them blocked later. So why don't you write that down so we can do that? Nurse Elliot sent $1 to say, daily reminder that there's no such thing as an unsafe vaccine. Vaccines are one of our greatest achievements in medicine. They truly are. In fact, if we are to look at the actual side effects that there are of something like the COVID-19 vaccine, they are less severe than the side effects that you expect from normal inoculations that all of us have been getting for our entire lives to make sure that we're allowed to go to school and work in our jobs. And maybe you need to get a few extra ones if you're going to Africa or going on whatever type of trip or in the military or something like that. They actually turned out to be way safer in terms of the sorts of things that we run into, like blood clots and those other sorts of concerns. Bottom line, taking the vaccine, way safer than not taking the vaccine when it comes to something like COVID-19 or all the other things that we have solved in healthcare using vaccines. Anyway, thank you, Amaranthia, for the $2. If you haven't heard her yet, go listen to Mafra, M-A-P-H-R-A. I guess we're doing lots of music recommendations today, but I welcome that. Love finding new music. We're going to talk to Lai Denise, and we're going to see if that's a good call to start the show. 20 minutes in. Hello, how old are you?
We are Oskar Quentin.
Yes. Thank you very much. But we are looking for debates.
It's a new one. Your sign's like hella out of screen. I have the old iPhone, so it's like, here, why don't you just look off my screen?
Yeah, let's see. Oh, yeah. Well, we're paused. Why are we frozen? There we go. Here, let's...
I think, like, literally you need to, like, move not the mic stand itself, but, like, extend the arm of the stand.
I just don't want to unbalance it here. How's that? No, that's not...
you have the...
That's not better. Oh, now it's like super in my way. No, but it works on your screen now. Good. Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jessie. Nobody in the queue. I don't know. I saw there was a lot of opposition in the chat while I was reading this article about this study on immigrant crime. So I'm left wondering, where have all the cowards run?
Scout's gonna ensure the sign does not stay put.
See, C ... says that was me. I feel special. I don't feel like figuring out my Discord settings to have it actually show your entire username right now. So
C, do you want your name read?
Do you want your name read? Just tell me what to read. Just tell me what to shout out.
I have it pulled up.
Okay. But yeah, we've got some very scared Trump supporters watching the live today because they don't want to. Scout, do you not want me to talk to the chuds today? Do you want me to just hang out with you? I know that sounds really nice.
Oh, that is the cutest face ever. Oh my god.
She has the cutest face ever. You should have seen her when she was this big. Oh, she had the cutest little face.
Was I born yet?
What?
I said, was I born yet?
Are you asking if you're older than Scout?
Yeah.
You are older than Scout. Scout is like kind of a perma kitten though. Everybody goes, "Oh, what a cute kitten." She's like 9. She's like 8 or something. I don't know. I'd have to just like E. Jean Carroll, I can't remember the exact year that this very important thing happened to me. I guess Scout doesn't exist because I can't remember the exact calendar year that I found her in the front yard of that house I was living in. Anyway, do we have anybody in the queue? No. The queue is empty. Defend your honor, chuds. What's going on? I thought you guys were really upset about all this stuff and you wanted to talk about it with me. Where did everybody go?
Well, see, your problem is you started with a source.
Oh, we got bad views here. He's got terrible views. How old are you again?
38.
Okay, you support Trump. What are we talking about today?
Well, actually, I was invited up here by Diava because she wanted me to let you know that my cat is better than yours.
I don't feel the need to stack rank pets.
Well, no, my cat is special.
Okay.
Her name's Daisy.
W. Daisy.
Oh, yeah.
Is that all?
Well, I was invited up here.
Mm-hmm.
Is that?
I've spoken to you before. You've got some bad views. What do you think about this large study on immigrant criminality? Were you listening for that part?
I'm new here this morning. What did you say?
Oh, there was a study released and an article about the study, so we lay people can interpret it a little bit better. That looked at 11,500 neighborhoods representing a population of more than 45 million people, and found that this connection between immigrants and criminality is fucking nonsense. The only increase in criminality they could find in neighborhoods that have a lot of undocumented immigrants is crime that would make sense if we consider the fact that undocumented immigrants are more likely to be the victims of certain types of crimes, like being robbed of the cash in their pockets because they don't have bank accounts, and because the people who want to rob them know that they can't really report their crimes to the police as readily because they fear deportation.
Wait, so is the argument immigrants don't do crimes, or what are you arguing?
That's not what I said.
Okay, so what are you arguing?
That saying that illegal immigration or immigration generally drives up crime rates is more thoroughly shown to be bullshit in this data than in previous studies.
Yeah, I hate the idea of crime rates, especially when we're talking about illegal immigrants and the crime they do, because it turns out if those people weren't here, those crimes would not happen here, and the crime rates might go up, but guess what? The number of crimes would go down. It's amazing how that works, huh?
Yeah, but that's just people. Like there's 12 million illegal immigrants. Yeah, there's going to be some kind of crime rate amongst them.
So you argue, immigrants don't cause crime. The crime rates go down with immigrants, so they're good. I say if those immigrants weren't here at all, the crimes wouldn't exist at all, and the number of crimes would go down.
Hot take. I'm super concerned about school shootings. I think we need to eradicate white men because they cause all the school shootings. Almost all of them.
Oh, do they?
Almost all of them, yeah.
Almost all of them.
Almost all of them.
But yeah, let's go to the last 5. Let's see who did the last 5.
Let's
shall we?
look at. No, I'm sorry. I'm not interested. I'm not at all.
You know where we go, huh?
What are
trans people? It turns out trans people are shooting up schools. That's
I haven't. Do you want to look at the source about that? Okay. What? The last 5. There's a mass shooting about every day in this country. So, are you talking about over the last week? Or just the last 5 that got your attention because people who report on these who are transphobic only report on the ones that trans individuals are involved in? Because the study that I have looked at 5,700 mass shootings and found that 5 total of them were committed by people who are transgender or non-binary.
Wait, did you not say school shootings?
Oh, I said I was really concerned about trans shootings. My study that I have is about mass shootings, which includes school shootings, but broadens it to maybe throw you a bone and try to find potentially even more dangerous, violent transgender individuals. But what we find is across 5,700, we get to look at the fucking silliest pie chart ever, because there is a little red sliver. It's like 1 pixel wide right here for trans individuals, because of the mass shootings that were looked at between 2013 and 2025, approximately 1% of the United States population over the age of 13 identify as transgender, but among these 5,743 shootings, only 5 were committed by people who were identified in that way, which represents 0.09%, which is less than 10 times less likely to be responsible for these sorts of crimes. So what the fuck are you talking about? Where's your information coming from?
Just recent history. The number of trans people doing
recent history. So if I Google recent history, will it tell me to be transphobic, or do you have a source for me?
Well, I can tell you the few that happened like fairly recently.
So you're just going to list a couple of anecdotal examples of a trans person doing bad instead of showing me a comparative analysis like this one where we looked at 5,700 total shootings and then found that 5 of them were committed by trans individuals?
Yeah. Oscar, I would say my argument is the number of trans shooting prior to 2 years ago was probably almost 0, and now it's 10.
Wow. I have a question that I've already asked you in the last 90 seconds, which is for a fucking source for that.
Oh, just I pay attention to the news.
Yeah, I actually recall there was one mass shooting or a school shooting where it was a trans perpetrator that wouldn't be included in this data set because I'm pretty sure September 15th, 2025. I'm actually not sure because it was around that time. It was the end of last year. So it was either included in this 5 or not. But I do remember one noteworthy example where everybody was like, look, see, it's trans people being the school shooters, even though there's a lot of fucking school shooters and there's a lot of attention on the trans ones for no good reason. So once again, data, source, who told you this bullshit? Let's bring out the greatest weapon we have in the 21st century, the Google search bar. Caller versus the Google search bar. What do I Google search to find that you're not a lying motherfucker?
Okay, so what do I need to prove?
What do I Google to show that you're not lying through your fucking teeth about the criminality of trans individuals? By the way, this is a pivot away from immigration because he saw that my analysis of this study was comprehensive enough for him to run away from it. So what's the Google search?
Yeah, just type in trans mass shooters prior to 2020 versus post 2020, and I think you're going to see
prior to 2020. What was the rest of it?
Versus post 2020.
Post 2020. Okay, what's the source?
I was supposed to have one already. I'm just telling. Do you know how to use Google? You just type in something, then you find the source.
I'm the hands because I'm running. Excuse me. Nope. I'm talking. You're listening. I'm talking. You're listening. Stop.
Have the mouse.
Close your mouth. I have the mouse. I was about to explain that I'm the hands showing your research to everybody, but it's your claim, your research, your Google search term. 3 options on the screen. Is it one of these, or should I keep scrolling?
Oh, factcheck.org. Yeah, can't keep scrolling.
Oh, actually, because you read it, right? You said factcheck.org, which says few mass shooters have been transgender. So probably not that one, right?
I imagine their article would even, if you actually read the words in the article, it would probably be actually, it has picked up a little bit.
Okay, let's take a look.
Wait, Oscar.
Full answer. Since an alleged shooter who identified as transgender killed 2 children and injured 21 at a Catholic church and school in Minneapolis on August 27, some Republican commentators... I'm sorry.
Kids.
I'm sorry.
Oscar,
I'm sorry.
Kids, by the way.
I'm sorry. You asked me. Oh, dude, you're driving. I have to kick you off the show.
I'm not driving.
Turn that shit off then. Okay, car door. Fine. Fine. Okay, so you said that if I opened this article and read it, what did you say it was going to say?
I've never read this article.
A moment ago, you said that because the title of this article doesn't back up your claim, that if I opened it and read inside, I would find evidence to the contrary, in spite of the title saying that you're flatly wrong. What exactly should I look for in this article to find that? Because I want to prove if that claim is true or false.
Oscar, did you hear what I said?
You said that if I opened this article, I would find evidence in it that the title of the article isn't what it means. What should I look for? Full answer.
What I said, I've never read this article. What I said.
Then why did you say that?
Read the words. What you'll find in that. Because I pay attention to the news, I read the news, and I could actually, this is amazing. I could find you an article right now that says, the headline says, no.
I'm sorry. No, we're not going to let you slip past it. We don't do that on the Oskar Quentin show. You said that if I open this article and we look at...
You slipped past this, bro.
No.
You brought up white people. At the beginning of this.
Jesse, did I bring up white people? Oh, I brought up white. Yeah, I brought white men committing most of the shootings. That's true. But I'm not going to let you out of it. You said that if we open this article and read what...
True, though?
You said that if we open this... We're not going to move past it. It's what's happening on the show. You can squirm all you fucking want. It doesn't make you look better. But on my show right now, what's happening is we're checking if what you said is true. Which is you said that if I open this article and read the actual words in it, I would find what?
I've never read this fucking article, Oscar.
Why did you say that? Just a moment ago, you said that if I open up this article and look inside of it, I will find something. What were you talking about? Why did you say that if you haven't read this article? You'd read the title of it, which is why you wanted to talk about what the actual words in it said, because you think that they're going to say something other than the fact that few mass shooters have been transgender. What are we looking for in this article?
Trans shooters being identified.
Trans shooters being identified. Yeah, they talked about one example from last year.
Perfect.
Okay.
So wait, what does the title say?
The title says that few mass shooters have been transgender.
Oh. Is it so few? How would you define few? I guess we have to start there now. If we're actually going to break down this
I think that if we look at a sample size of 5,700 and find only 5 trans shooters, which is a representation of less than 0.1%, when trans individuals represent about 1% of the population, I would say that would be few. That's an example of few. Like a single-digit number against a 4-digit number of shootings, that's very few, yeah. So what is it you think it's going to say in this article? Oh, wait, here we go. Q, how many of the mass shooters have been transgender? How straightforward a way of looking at your concern.
2025, right? Wait, so we're cutting out the last over a year, right?
Oh, I'm sorry. Your concern was prior to 2020 and after 2020 is because we're not including the last 12 months. I'm sorry. Are you not at all interested in the data from 2020 to 2025 is because it doesn't include 2026? Is that going to rule it out? Because you originally asked, let's actually go back and remind everybody what you asked me to search. You asked me to search mass shooters prior to 2020 versus post 2020, and this was the first result. So the question it asks is how many of the mass shooters have been transgender? And the answer is the number of transgender mass shooters in the US varies depending on how mass shooting is defined, which makes sense. That's true of any category of mass shooter, but is relatively small relative to the number of trans shooters that there are. That backs up the data that I initially put up on the screen, which shows that we'd expect something more like 57 or so mass shootings to be involved with trans individuals if they were represented relatively equally in the population. They're not. Relatively speaking, they're 10 times less likely to be violent in that way. Anyway, moving along, the Gun Violence Archive, which uses a broader definition, lists 5 mass shootings by transgender or non-binary people since 2013. That's less than 0.1%. Yeah, so it's the same one that I found.
Oh, okay, so this is 2025. I imagine, I could tell you at least 3 that happened in the last year. So the numbers have almost doubled in the last year.
False.
Which kind of proves my point.
I'm looking at the source. False.
Thank you, Jesse. What are you looking at?
I'm looking at...
Can we go back to white people and...
because when you run away from looking at your own claims, it shows that your claims are not only bullshit, it shows that you know they're bullshit. Oscar, and that's my favorite thing that happens on the show.
Oscar, my claim is transgender mass shootings have gone up.
That's not your claim. That's not where we started.
It is
That's not your claim. That's not where we started.
No, it is my claim.
No.
You are way too literal of a thinker. Have you ever, like, are you on the spectrum?
I think that being a literal thinker is very important when studying crime data.
Yeah, I think if you're trying to have a real conversation, you need to understand that maybe every word is not meant to be taken literally.
Oh, yeah, just the ones that you don't want to be taken literally to make you not look bad. That'd be very convenient if we did that way. Unfortunately, that is not how I operate on my show. Molly sent me $50 fucking on Venmo. Thank you for the $50. Reminder to vote for Francesca Hong today in Wisconsin. Love you, Oscar. I don't know Francesca Hong. Trust your own endorsement on that one. Thank you very much. Tim sent me $5. Sorry, if you want to actually address what it says in this article, and if it backs up your claim, we can do that in just a moment, but I'm going to take a moment to thank Tim for I already thanked him. He just said keep slaying, brother. Thank you for that. And then David's in here with another $5. He said, how about we do number of white male mass shooters pre-2020 versus post and look at that fucking huge number guest doesn't want to talk about. That would be kind of fun.
I do. I've been trying to get back to that.
Okay.
So your claim, you're concerned about white people, like, are gang shootings considered mass shootings? Or no?
Depends on the type of shooting. I know that that's the Charlie Kirk line. That's actually what he was talking about when he died. Yeah, he was looking at exactly this claim.
I'm asking you a question
I'm just informing the audience that you are regurgitating the point. I am informing my audience. Shut your fucking mouth and listen. It's my show. If you talk over me, we're just going to stall for longer because I am going to get to the point. I'm just going to get to the point that I just want to educate the audience that when Charlie Kirk died, he was being interrogated specifically about this data set, and he asked about the way that this data was collected.
Was I
done talking? Was I done answering that? Yes, Charlie Kirk himself asked about gang shootings. He was saying too many instead of listing a specific number before somebody fucking shot him, which was fucking crazy and terrible. But anyway, just pointing out that this is Charlie Kirk's. Don't put fucking words in my mouth and stop taking words out of Charlie Kirk's mouth because he was a fucking bigot, and this is the last talking point he delivered before he fucking died.
Oh, he was a bigot?
Absolutely, he was a fucking bigot.
Prove it.
The thing we're talking about right now is proof that he's a bigot, because being a bigot is being stubborn about your assumptions about particular groups, which is what he was doing when he died. Fucking incredible.
Hang on. Wait. You think it was an assumption, like when he said?
Jesse, what's up? You're gonna let my producer speak. I'm gonna be way meaner to you about interrupting her than I am about you interrupting me. What's going on, Jesse?
Okay, so I am on the sandyhookpromise.org, which is typically biased against
I'm sorry, I said I was going to be way fucking meaner to you about interrupting my producer than interrupting me. So I will fucking snap and yell at you every fucking time you do it. And if you think that's a win, you're wrong. Yeah, you love it. I love it too. It makes the numbers at the top of the screen get bigger. Let's pump the viewership by running this bit for as long as we can. Or if you don't want to help the live in that way, you can shut the fuck up and let Jesse talk. Go.
Tap the screen, bitches.
Notably, 29% of transgender youth have been threatened or injured with a weapon on school property compared to 7% of cisgendered youth. So 1 in 3 trans children are threatened or injured with a weapon, and yet only that tiny sliver has ever, but 7% of cisgendered people have. So I found that statistic very interesting as well. But also my source for earlier was statista.com. It's a statistics on crime and law enforcement that said not related to schools. All shootings of all the shootings that have been committed in 2026, 2 of them were by individuals who identify as transgender.
I'd love to put that on the screen, Jesse. What do I search? Statista?
No, I mean, I think it'd be faster just to Google what I did, which was how many trans mass shootings in 2026. And that'll also get you to the Sandy Hook one if you want it.
Oh, yeah. Look how purple all these fucking links are. We've been here before. Deja vu. Okay, here we go. Oh, love me up.
Yeah, that first bar is really interesting because I actually think it should be illegal to be a man in school now because clearly it's way more dangerous.
Yeah, we should take away their gun rights.
Yeah.
We should.
I don't think we should give guns to men.
We should call them by pronouns that they don't prefer to hurt their feelings and take away their guns because this bar is so big.
You're an instigator, bro.
So Oscar, do you want to finally answer the question rather than just like derailing and yelling about Charlie Kirk?
Did none of those things answer your earlier questions, or do you just want to go back to the ones that you didn't ask me because you don't want to debate me because... Oh,
sorry, producer, you brought up some points that were irrelevant to the conversation about people being threatened at school. You fucking joking me?
I'm sorry. We're talking about the criminality and violence, and if you think that you can semantically argue that those victims of those crimes experience, you're talking to 2 people. I know it's a little overwhelming. I know that's never happened to you before. I know your life is very lonely and small, and it's a little difficult having a conversation with more than one person.
Liberals yesterday, like at the same time.
Oh, cool, dude! Fucking awesome. Did you post it to your YouTube for everybody to see? That's what I do every day when I dog walk people like you.
My point to that, by the way, was it is statistically massively more likely that a trans person would bring a gun to school in the case of self-defense because they've already been threatened with a weapon.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's illegal. They can't do that.
This male and female bar, what does it represent? Is that It says male, female, and then male and female. What is
I would
that?
love to get back
I
to
clicked
your
on it and I went to a
original
different
point.
link. It says 2 from more than one source, so I think the male and female is just if it doesn't fit into either. So I think that's
Okay.
our trans stat.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Just kind of a weird way to label it. I suppose.
That's what I thought too. That's why I went and double checked it. But I did find it on the next link that's listed. The other one that's purple that we've been there before had the same numbers. So I trusted it.
Oh yeah. Which one?
That one.
This one? Oh, we were already looking at that one.
Yeah.
That was the first one we were looking at. He said that if we go in here, the article will tell us that he's right. But I don't think it does.
Well, actually, okay, whatever.
I love it. I love it when they say whatever. They're like, oh, whatever. I'm just too exhausted by Oscar dog walking me to even try anymore.
Oscar. So how many did she say happened in 2026? Did the numbers almost double in 2026 versus prior to? Like what?
Yeah.
The
so
numbers are going up.
What's double of 5?
Well, it's 10.
Well, no, he's right about one thing here, which is that the rate has gone up
God.
a little bit because 2 is more than the rate that we were seeing when we saw 5 in the previous study. But I think what's really important here is that the numbers are ridiculously small, and you actually can't really do like a factor increase when you have sample sizes that small. That's like saying that if something like happened once on one day and twice on another day, that doesn't really indicate that the rate has gone up 100%.
Yeah, guys,
It
until
doesn't-
we have 25 of them, we can't even count them. They're basically irrelevant.
That's not. I'm sorry. You're putting words in my mouth. That's not what I'm said. It's just that if you understand, no, that's not what I said. You're saying I said something different than I did. That is the rate growing up. I can admit that. But what I'm saying is that when you have numbers that small integer counts across large sample sizes, it's not very statistically rigorous to say that you can directly compare and say that the rate has gone up by some large percentage because the data is very noisy when you have small numbers because one person's actions can greatly affect the percentage of trans individuals who've committed shootings, but that's not true of white dudes, for example. If I, as a white dude, did a mass shooting, it wouldn't even budge the statistics about white men committing shootings because almost all of of these mass shootings are committed by white men. And because of that, it makes it so that it's not really helpful to point out that the data is noisy.
That's not true. Why are you lying? What's a mass shooting?
It's a shooting where a weapon is fired indiscriminately in public.
Okay, I've heard different definitions. I've heard
The
that
gun violence archive might actually be broader than that, and if it's broad enough to include more of that gang data that Charlie Kirk was talking about when he died, then potentially I might be wrong about it being white men, but it's definitely cisgender individuals.
Yeah, well, I believe the definition I know as a mass shooting is a shooting in which like 3 or more people are shot,
Okay.
which would completely destroy your.
Why do you here? Let's zoom out.
Right?
Let's zoom out. 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 We are going to zoom out. I have a question for you. Do you think that trans people are more dangerous than non-trans people?
No.
What the fuck are we talking about?
I'm trying to talk about what you claimed when I first got up here, and you said white people are. You said something about
that
white
was
people?
school shootings, and it's definitely white dudes are doing most of the school shootings. Do you deny that it's mostly white men who are doing the school shootings?
Well, I don't know. I imagine the shootings that are happening in schools by gang members for gang violence probably are not being counted in your statistics.
I think they would be.
They definitely
I think a school shooting is when a shooting happens at a school. I think that's pretty easy to define.
Well, if it happens in a bathroom with a group of 6 people over gun, like it's gang violence, I don't think that's a mass shooting.
I'm sorry. A school shooting is a school shooting is a shooting that happens at a school.
No,
do you have a different definition?
No.
Dude, just stop interrupting me and answer the question. Do you have a different definition of what a school shooting is other than a shooting that happens at a school?
Yes.
Let's hear it.
A school shooting would be somebody walking and shooting indiscriminately at somewhere in a school, whether they choose a classroom. It's indiscriminate. They aren't targeting anybody specifically, maybe one person.
No, why would you define school shooting that way? I think a normal person, when they hear school shooting, they think, oh my God, a shooting happened at a school? I don't think that they're thinking like, all right, hold on, was this really a school shooting? Who shot who? That's just a shooting that happens at a school.
Wait, Oscar, so you believe that any gang shooting that happened at a school is in your statistics for school shootings, even if there's one shot fired at one person?
I think that, yeah, I would argue that a school shooting is a shooting that happens at a school, and I'm pretty sure it's white people doing that. Do you have a source that claims otherwise? The source would need to define school shooting the way that I do for it to even acknowledge the answer.
Yeah, for sure. That's what I'm saying. So,
So why do you define it the other way? That like rambling pile of word salad that you vomited up when I asked you to define school shooting? Why is that your definition of school shooting instead of a shooting that happens at a school?
Yeah, I don't think it's so much that. I'm just saying that if one person goes into a school and they target one person, I wouldn't consider that a school shooting. You would.
I think literally anyone else would.
Yeah, I think chat, yes or no? Okay. Let me just know with a yes or a no in the chat if you think that a good definition for a school shooting is a shooting that happens at a school. Like on school grounds, if we want to be specific.
Phrase this. How about this? How about you?
That was just a question for the chat to farm engagement. Yeah. I don't really care what they say, but just let me know yes or no in the chat if you think that's a good. If you really want to help the show perform well, you can participate in the poll. That's really what it's for. I'm transparent about that.
I would ask the chat the same question, but in a little different way. If one person walks into a school and targets one person in the school, is that a school shooting?
Yeah, so what you're trying to do is like find you're trying to use this definition of 3 people being killed to call it a mass shooting. The Discord has backed up your claim that's
killed.
I'm sorry, stop fucking interrupting me so people can hear the way that I'm dismantling your argument. It's not a functional conversation. I'm going to have to start pulling the chat if they want to keep you on the line or kick you because it's not functional for you to just talk over me the moment I fucking say anything. I do it to you because you're putting fucking words in my mouth. If you don't put
killed. Hey, dumbass, I didn't say killed. I said shot at, dumbass. You don't put words in my mouth.
Okay, you just said that a second ago, and I was responding to it. You just described a situation where somebody walks into a school and shoots one person. So that's what I was responding to. But what I'm saying is that you're trying to like semantically get out of this discussion about school shootings versus mass shootings by looking at the fact that they're defined a little bit differently because the federal government defines a mass shooting as a public shooting where 3 or more people were killed. Discord backs you up on that. You were right about that one. I think that any person walking down the street would define a school shooting as a shooting that happens at a school because the word mass, which is where we get to 3 people, is not in the phrase school shooting. I think a school shooting is just a shooting that happens on school grounds. So the fact that you're like sitting here trying to semantically make me wrong by defining these things differently instead of expressing any concern to the victims of violent crimes or the people who are blamed unnecessarily for those violent crimes because they represent a group that are underrepresented among shooters of all kinds. Yeah, I just think that makes you a terrible person.
Yeah, you're right, Oscar. We definitely
I am right that you're a terrible person.
We shouldn't get on the same page about whatever the fuck we're talking about. We should just talk past each other the entire time, right?
I think I'm tracking just fine.
I think I am too. I would like to get back to white people somehow. Like it was your claim that white people are what? What was it?
That most of the school shootings are done by white people. Actually, you know what? If we wanted to define it your way and say that if we're only going to talk about mass school shootings where more than 3 people were killed, I think that the number goes up even farther. I think the school shootings that are also mass shootings, I think that's almost only white males.
I think you should probably look at your data and find out.
What data?
Yeah, you should find out what they classify as school and mass shootings, because I think you might be looking at some maybe data from the
I'm sitting here, I'm speculating a little. Oh, you want to look at data from the SPLC? So you're definitely not the type of person who's going to tell me that the Southern Poverty Law Center was fraudulently using donor money to hire people to join hate groups, because that's what your party likes to say about the Southern Poverty Law Center. So really quick, yes or no?
That's just a fact.
Yes or no, is the Southern Poverty Law Center a good source that isn't up to any nefarious activities?
Bro, I don't know.
Because I think that they are. I think they're a great source. You just brought them up as a source. So I just want to make sure that you're not the type of person who thinks that the federal indictment against them that came out recently, because they've spent decades using donor money to pay people to be informants, which is why they're paying people to join the Ku Klux Klan and shit like that.
That's not what they were paying them
I'm just asking if you recognize that they're a good source, because if you do, then you probably don't think it was bad for them to be doing that, using donor money to hire informants to get members of hate groups caught. Just want to clear that up before we use them as a source.
I think it's one of the worst things that you can do, to take money from people to fight hate groups and then pay hate groups.
Okay, yeah. So you agree with the FBI's indictment of them, which is ironic.
Disclose to the donors.
Yes. The reason they don't disclose that information is because you have to engage with secrecy when you're working with informants. So because you think that the SLP, because you think that the SPL, I'm sorry, I was talking. This is my show. Shut your fucking mouth. This is what you do when you know you're fucking cornered because you brought up the SPLC because it backs you up in this case, but you're discrediting them in a different case because you listen to what the fucking federal government tells you to think about these things, which is fucking a nonsensical approach to information gathering under this administration. So how dare you bring me the SPLC when you are somebody who discredits them for their work with informants? Do you or do you not trust them as a source? Pick a fucking lane. Oh my God, I have a lot of YouTube super chats to read. Guys, I'll get to you in a second. Do you or do you not trust them? Do you or do you not trust them? Like, I don't care, dude. We can ape it up. It doesn't fucking matter. Answer the question.
I was aping it up for you in your chat.
Yeah, we're aping it up today. I'm talking to you. You're a fucking ape, dude. You're like, fucking answer the question.
What if I'm black? Do you feel bad?
Well, I said it without knowing that you're black, so I don't care. No, because you're going to call me... Okay, you know what? Camera on if you want to prove that you're black and that was racist. Let's do it.
No, you already were racist. Nope, too late.
Dude's calling me racist. Camera on. Camera on. Camera on. Apes are less intelligent than humans. I was insulting your intelligence. If you think it was racist, show me that you're black and I'll apologize. Turn your camera on.
I wouldn't accept your apology.
Okay, I'm just going to say that you're a spineless piece of shit and move up back to my question. Do you or do you not trust the SPLC? Why did you bring them up?
Wait, those are two different questions. What are you asking?
Do you trust them? Yes or no?
No.
Okay, then why did you bring them up?
Because I said you should check your data because you're probably
Why are you asking me to check my data with the SPLC if you don't trust them because of their behavior with informants?
I don't know. This could be a really dumb thing to say, but I think if you're going to look at data referring to school shootings and mass shootings, you should find out what the fuck they're talking about.
I'm sorry. I'm not going to let you out of it. Why did you ask me to check my data with the SPLC if you don't trust them?
Because I want to know how they define things.
Why do you want to know how they define things if you don't trust them?
Are they defining a gang shooting at a school?
That doesn't answer my question. My question again is, why do you want to know how they define something if you don't trust them?
Well, that's the most important thing we need to find out, is how they define things.
Why do you care how they define things if you don't trust them?
Well, because if they define things correctly, they'll be more trustworthy.
That's called confirmation bias. You already don't trust them, but you'll listen to something they said if it already agrees with you?
No. If they say that a mass shooting is not one person shooting 6 people because it's gang violence, their data...
I don't know how we got to 6 people, but my question again is, why are you interested in the definitions released by an organization that you yourself think is supporting hate groups?
Oh my gosh. These
questions are so fucking hard.
No, listen. It's not that. I got to remember when I come up and talk to you that you take everything so literally.
This is a political debate live. We really do try to make sure that we're speaking literally. I try to really ham it up when I'm not speaking literally. If I'm being hyperbolic or ironic or satirical or something like that, like I really try to make that obvious. But most of the time we're speaking literally. If your issue is that you're not able to navigate this sort of conversation because things you're saying are being taken literally, it suggests to me that you're not interested in having a serious conversation about this stuff.
No, it's like when I mentioned the SPLC just in passing, I'm not like intending on, I don't even want to look at their data.
Then why are you asking me to look at their data?
You kept, like, I said it in passing. It was literally like, I didn't mean to.
Somebody who mentions the SPLC in passing is probably not the type of person who agrees with the federal indictment that blames them for using donor money to support hate groups, which I think is a really disingenuous way to refer to using donor money under the cover of secrecy, which is necessary for informant work to pay informants to report on the activities of hate groups. I think that's really disingenuous and shitty, and I think that somebody who doesn't think that that's disingenuous and shitty, somebody who really does think that the SPLC was misbehaving in the way that the indictment says they wouldn't trust a word they have to say about anything. And I find that to be inconsistent about you, which is why we're stuck on it. Why is it that you agree with the indictment against them, but you still want me to reference them for a definition or for data?
Oscar, I would love to know how you rationalize it in your mind that it is okay that they deceive their donors. Why is that okay?
Because I don't think that they did deceive their donors. I don't think that's fair to say.
Okay.
If I gave somebody $1,000 to fight hate groups and they said, okay, I'm going to buy $500 worth of technical gear so we can spy on them. I'm going to buy $300 worth of pizza for the team and $200 we're going to pay directly to some people, but I can't tell you about that because they're informants. I'd be like, okay, I wouldn't consider that fraudulent. And that's what's going on with the SPLC, is that they've used donor money for things where they can't report to the public specifically what the money was spent on because they were using it for informants. And if they relayed that information to the public, it would compromise the operational security of their mission being to understand and prosecute people who are committing crimes in hate groups. I will remind you that over the decades that this behavior was happening, they were working directly in cooperation with the FBI to get information from those informants to the FBI. And then it is now under Trump's current administration that the FBI has turned around and said that it was fraudulent. It's an obvious weaponization of the DOJ against a group that is working actively against hate groups. And the fact that you agree with them doing that suggests to me that it is purely dishonest for you to reference anything they release in as a source in this argument when you yourself have said you don't trust them. That's what we're talking about.
Well, you just somehow convinced yourself that they didn't deceive the donors, and
I explained it very clearly. The audience isn't as stupid as you. You can keep saying that on repeat, but
do you know what you didn't bring up? Like, you brought up, oh, they got $300 for pizza. Why don't we talk about the hundreds of thousands of dollars? That seems more important.
Yeah,
how about you tell the donors?
I simplified my example. I'm sure. I doubt that 20% of their budget was.
These guys $250,000
dude is just yelling, man.
To organize racist.
Yeah.
Love it.
I do love it. They've caught a lot of racists.
They've caught racist.
No.
I know you love racists. I know.
Chat,
you said it.
Chat,
loud and clear.
Chat. Let me know. Let me know
racist
if the
piece of
chat.
Shit.
Let me know if the caller has
fucking white monkey.
Chat. Let me know that. I think calling me a white monkey is maybe a little racist.
Shut the fuck up, you racist cunt.
Just let me know in the chat if you think that the caller has sufficiently demonstrated that I'm racist. And while that poll's rolling in, I am gonna read these YouTube super chats because they're fucking piling up. Elusive Viper, thank you for the $5. All these band shoutouts, and nobody has mentioned that our mayor of Minnesota, Jessie Wormtongue, leaner of streams, first of her name, has a new EP out. Jesse, what's the name of your band again?
Sensing Agony. Dude,
yeah,
that my title is getting too long.
Stop complaining about your title getting long, Jesse, or it will only get longer. Also, I'm the CEO of the company. It's going to become your formal title if you don't watch it.
God damn! I get a nameplate. That's
I'm gonna
comically.
I'm gonna get one of those desk plate things, but it's like the size of a fucking yardstick. Somebody make us one. DeBlues sent $5 to say if the wealthy stopped having children, we would have fewer innocent people being run down by entitled 20-year-old drunks in Maseratis. Just saying. Yeah, I think that's the way the caller handles crime statistics. August became a member over on YouTube. Thanks for doing that. You get to be the members only stream and like hang out with me while I have a beer and lean off screen, stuff that TikTok doesn't allow. Brand Does Metal sent $2 to say, why do they all sound like shitty Winnie the Pooh? Funny. Chapotpot sent $2 to say counting or not counting gang violence, ass dude. Yeah, seriously, he's just jumping around in circles trying to count the data in such a way that it doesn't make him look like an ass clown. I think the data would suggest that the caller is an ass clown.
Bro, you brought up
anyway, I'm not done reading the donations. They pay for the show. I need you to shut your mouth and listen. They're paying my bills and they're giving you the privilege of speaking to me by allowing me to do this as my full-time job. You should appreciate it because you're here for some fucking reason. I don't even know why people like you call into my show. Horsepower pull-up. You're still here. You got the run button. If you're upset, you can click it. Horsepower pull-up sent $5. Excuse me. Horsepower pull-up sent $5 to say.
You're excused.
Horsepower pull-up sent $5 to say collars would. Collars would better relieve that stressful feeling that comes from struggling against evidence if they would just bow out and concede gracefully. Yeah, I don't know, man. These people can't admit that they're fucking wrong. It's hilarious. Blaze sent $5 to say, by the way, I'm sorry. You were wrong about loads.
What am I wrong about?
You were wrong about loads of shit. Blaze sent $5 to say, by the way, this is. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna have to keep fucking shouting until you let me read the fucking donations. There's a few more that have come in. Blaze sent, dude, idiot. What is going on? Do you want the show to be more profitable? That is what you're doing by causing me to yell. The show is more profitable when I yell. Yes. Yelling increases the profits. And if you don't shut up, I will have to keep fucking yelling. Just shut the fuck up, dude. I do want to get through it. I'm not as concerned with the show being profitable as I am with cooking your ass, so I'd like to get back to doing that. So stop stalling. Blaze sent $5 to say, by the way, this is all again a pivot from talking about immigrants not being major factor when talking about crime. Caller's a coward. Correct. I haven't forgotten. That one guy with a really long name, he sent $2 to say, not just bad views, but dumb views too. I agree. Oh my God, look at this. We got Sacred sending all these jewels and gifts and stuff. Thank you very much. Marcus sent about $10. Worcestershire sauce. What's your largest catch? Love from Sweden. Largest catch? We talking about fishing? What are we? I don't understand the message. I've done some ocean fishing. I've caught some big fish. Sydney became a member over on YouTube. Thanks for doing that. 709 sent a few bucks to say he's been on camera. He's white as it gets. Thanks for the clarification on that. And then Herschel sent $2 to say Jesus Christ, dude is a puddle. That's all the YouTube super chats. No, it isn't. Jesse, who's sitting on the other side of the room, sent $2 just to get me to read out that just ew caller. Yeah. Why is my Venmo balance so high? Did I read Robbie? I think I read Robbie. Feel free to not read this off if it's bad for the live. Let's see. What does it say? It says that Charlie Kirk is a bigoted piece of garbage, and while I don't advocate for gun violence, the world became a better place when he left it. No, I co-sign that. That's kind of my thoughts on Charlie Kirk in a nutshell. Yeah, I co-sign that one
you
completely.
Think the world became a better place?
Hold on, David Collins sent $5.
Civil War, bitch.
David Collins sent $5 to say guest is light mayonnaise. Yeah, dude, you're doing the thing where you ignore one thing I say and then zoom in on the part of it that was qualified by that because
you agreed that the world became a better place when Charlie Kirk died. You fucking. Oh god.
Actually, you know what? Maybe not, because we have to weigh the fact. Like Charlie Kirk not being in the world is definitely a win, but the rise of political violence, that's an L. So hard to say. Probably an L. But anyway,
you loved watching his neck get blown out, didn't you?
I'm gonna call that one projection. I think you like violence. What are we talking about?
Just fucking. Yeah, I want to say something.
Okay,
I will say like
username checks out. Thank you for the $2, Lucky Phil, on buy me a coffee. Appreciate it. What were you gonna say?
I just want to say some nice words. These are real words. Like
hold on. There's one more, and then I'm actually done. Infexus sent $20 on Cash App to say for bad views, just mad. Most won't platform him anymore. That's why he's desperate to yell at me. All right. I'm out of Wait, I'm not out of donations. Chai sent $2 to say PO box so we can send gifts. Jesse for mayor, working on the PO box. Might actually go do that today. Anyway, okay. I think I'm out of donations to read. What's your next bad view? Bad views?
Well, maybe this is a bad view, but I think you'll probably like it. I remember like when I first talked to you, the very first time I talked to you, you had like 80 people in your life.
Oh wait, Jessie sent me a Venmo. She sent me $1 just to say I'm
trying to say nice things.
Well, no, but the message is just don't want caller to talk. Okay, now hurry before somebody else sends me more money. Go.
Well, yeah, I will just say you're the best debater, the best left person debater on TikTok, I will say, and
I know,
and I hope honestly, like when you surround yourself. Do you remember when Dean and Parker threw their best friends under the bus over some stupid Snapchat shit?
No idea what you're talking about. I don't keep up with the drama. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Well, it's important to you because like they're gonna pull you into their circle. Just know those two will fucking throw you under the bus and run you over with.
Are you trying to give me advice about being careful with the friends I make online? I'm not fucking stupid, dude. I'm a veteran of the internet.
Wait, these people are absolute, like, insane people left. They're always on the left like this, but they are very cult-like.
You're using the airtime on my show to trash talk Parker and Dean. Like these are recent friends of mine that I've made, and because nobody else will platform you got to come here and spew that shit.
Back. These people will stab you right in the back. I watched them do it to Harry. Like, bad.
I don't give a fuck what you saw, dude. Based on what you see about the world and the conclusions you draw, it suggests to me that you're often wrong about your conclusions. So I don't trust what you think about Parker and Dean. I'm not going to trust your judgment of their character one iota. Thank you, Brian, for the $5 on Venmo. Brian sent $5 to say "shut up, caller." Heart sign. Thank you, Canadian Vicky. Canadian Vicky sent me $5 on Buy Me a Coffee to say caller has a master in bitching from David University. That's a bit of an inside joke, but I think everybody in this episode can tell that he's a total bitch. So anyway, yeah. Why do you think I would trust a word you have to say about those people? That's silly. Don't be ridiculous.
Well, I'm not saying you should trust me, but if you don't know what they did to Harry, you
24 hours in the life sent $2 to say, yeah, but Oscar, this caller just kind of sucks. Yeah, non-bobber sent $2 to say, hi, Oscar. Hello. Adam sent $10 to say, this caller is insane. He's a bigot piece of trash. I agree. All right, what were you saying?
What's the most bigoted thing I've said up here?
I think when you called me a white monkey, that was well, no.
Wait, you called me a monkey, you fucking idiot.
Yeah, but I didn't bring race.
Are you a bigot?
I was insulting your intelligence.
Racist!
I think, but you do realize that it's you being racist that made you connect ape to racism, because I just called you an ape because you're being quite ape-brained.
Oh, no,
apes are less intelligent than humans.
No, it wasn't me. This is the insane leftist. You can't call people apes. You know, it's racist.
I called you an ape.
Yeah, because you're racist. The left are the real racists.
But you're the one who made the leap.
Why does the left love segregation, by the way?
What? I'm gonna ask you a similarly loaded question. When did you stop beating your wife?
Well, I've never been married, so try again.
No, when did you stop beating your wife? That's my question. Are you afraid of my question? You're not going to answer my question?
I stopped beating her when we got married.
That's so horrible. I'm not married. That's the worst way I've ever heard that answer.
Whoa! What the fuck? Holy shit! What?
Oscar, I'm not married.
I can't believe you fell for that. What the fuck, dude? What's wrong with you?
What are you talking about? I've heard that 3,700 times.
That you beat your wife?
When you stop being your wife?
You hear it from other people than me? I was doing a bit because you asked me a loaded question. You said, why do leftists like segregation? Which implies that leftists do like segregation.
They do. I can point you to examples.
I don't agree. I bet you can find an example of a leftist doing that. If you consider me a leftist, which I think is fair these days. I don't.
How about black-only graduation and black-only dorms? Is that not segregation?
I'm sorry. I really want to go back to
the left are the real racists.
You said you've heard thousands of times that you've beat your wife. I want more information on that.
Hey, so let's talk about segregation and why the left likes
Jason, thank you for the $2 on Venmo. Humans are apes, though. Humans aren't monkeys. We are technically great apes. We're all apes, if we want to be accurate.
Prove it.
Okay. Let's see.
I need to know when the change
Primates,
happened. When did we lose all our hair?
Well, I mean, that happened sometimes after the split from the chimpanzees and the bonobos. That happened about 6 million years ago. So sometime in the last few million years, we lost most of
this data. Who was alive back then to take all this data?
We used the fossil record to look at these sorts of things.
Oh, by the way, did you see Anthony Fauci's text release? Holy shit.
Holy pivot. This guy's fucking flailing. He doesn't want to look at my evidence about the primate tree of life. Let's see. What does the Smithsonian say about it? Here we go. Let's open that in a new tab.
No, but for real, did you see what Fauci was sending in text messages?
I'm sorry, What does that have to do with apes?
Yikes. That guy should be in prison, by the way.
Oh, wait, hold on. I have it here. So here we go. Let's zoom in a little bit.
Wait, who did this? When was this made?
This is, dude, like, you're just I'm
asking.
It's the Smithsonian's Guide to the Tree of Life.
What? So what, you don't know when it was made? He was like, wow.
You're sea lining. You're asking unnecessary questions. Just because I don't know what year we figured out that this was the relationship of all the great apes doesn't mean that they were wrong about it. You know that. You know it's disingenuous. The audience knows it's disingenuous. And maybe some people in the audience just got educated on the fact that this disingenuous strategy is called sea lining, like the animal sea lion. You're asking me a bunch of questions. Do I know the names of the researchers who figured this out originally? I used to, because I read a bunch of books about this shit like 10 years ago. But if we look at this section at the top right, we can see that we have the apes, which includes the lesser apes, and then the great apes. It lists 4 of them: the orangutans, gorillas, the chimpanzees, and bonobos, which split off from us about 6 million years ago. Here we go. Last common ancestor of humans and chimpanzees lived between 8 and 6 million years ago. We do not yet have its remains. Yeah, that's one little missing spot. And then humans under the umbrella of great apes. Do you deny biology? It's one of the only fields of science where they actually have the fundamental theory of how all of it works figured out. The physicists don't have that. Actually, the chemists don't have that for the same reason. There's a lot of studies where there's like a great mystery in terms of how it all works. The biologists have it figured out. So the biologists classify us as great apes. That's true. So when I called you an ape, it was at least true.
And so I guess, yeah, mine would have been a little less accurate.
You called me a white monkey.
Yeah, so a little less accurate.
Yeah, well, it's less accurate. I mean, I am white, but it does suggest to me that you care about race, that you called me a white monkey. But just to be clear, the monkeys are a different group on this chart. They're over here. We got the New World monkeys, which were found in South America, and the Old World monkeys that we found in Africa and Eurasia. So yeah, we're not actually monkeys. We are primates.
I have a question for you.
But not monkeys. We're apes. What?
Isn't it possible that we find like some skeleton of some animal and this completely wipes out that entire chart?
That would be very confounding. Like, we could find data that would, like, you can logically propose that certain fossils found would throw this on its head, but the more skeletal remains we find, the more solid this tree gets. Across the entire tree of life, by the way, not just primates. So
yeah, I'm very curious about this because
hypothetically, yes, there could be evidence to the contrary. As a matter of fact, nobody's found any. That's another way to answer.
So, I mean, if we shift this to like the idea of climate change and stuff, because I believe through history.
Pivot.
Wait, I'm gonna
tell me about climate change.
3 steps back and lead me how you got to that train of thought.
Yeah, I will, because like I just take the same idea that we're gonna just take whatever science they found somewhere, but
whatever science they found somewhere. Do you think scientists go looking for science and find it under rocks?
My point is,
I don't think you understand what science is, buddy.
I don't think climate activists and people who think climate change is a real issue hold that same like line of logic and how we should rationalize things. Like, why don't we use data from previous climate change from millions of years ago to understand? Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so what's happening right now, and how do humans have anything to do with it?
The global average temperature is increasing at a rate that it never has before. Like the global climate change, like the global temperature, which we're concerned about going up like 2 or 4 degrees Celsius in the 21st century. People can look at like long scale histories, like carbon dating type like analyses of like the last ice age and stuff like that, and find swings of more than 2 or 4 or 6 degrees Celsius. But they happen over the course of thousands of years, which allows time for the Earth to adapt. It allows time for species to evolve. It allows time for species that live, say, at a particular altitude along the down from sea level all the way up to a mountaintop. Maybe there's a particular region where a population should be so that the plants that they grow, that they need to eat, like that they live at the right temperature. Over thousands and thousands of years, any particular member of a species doesn't necessarily notice that their children are living a little further up the hill or a little further down the hill. So over many hundreds of thousands of years or just tens of thousands of years, it's not that big a deal. But when it happens inside of a human lifetime, that type of shock kills populations because they can't move in time, because these animal species aren't smart enough to know that it's time to relocate because the temperatures are changing, and there's not time for that to happen gradually through the normal process of evolution. So yes, you can look at temperature changes in our ancient history on Earth that are bigger than what we're seeing right now. That's not the issue. The issue is the speed.
How many ice ages have we had?
I'm sorry. Do you recognize that the issue is the speed, not the absolute change?
I understand that from what I've read, that we are basically speeding up to the next ice age by about 10,000 years because we've increased the ice age will happen 10,000 years sooner.
Because of the greenhouse effect caused by the changes that we're making to the composition
so we're
of our...
about 10,000 years from now, at least?
No, we're talking about this lifetime. My lifetime. I'm 31. Yes, I certainly was. I certainly am.
Do you know what the experts were saying about climate change in the 50s and 60s?
We had noticed that this process was starting. It's been about a lifetime since then. The change has been dramatic and unusual for Earth's history in that lifetime. I'm because of that previous lifetime, the last 80 years, I'm very worried about the 80 years to come. Yes.
It wasn't that long ago that experts were claiming the world was cooling.
Okay, I'll say something I have to say almost every day on this show. If you need to go back to the past for the scientists to agree with you, you're doing something wrong.
No, the point is, like, you're saying it's happened in this lifetime. The science says basically we're speeding things up by 10,000 years. We're talking about 10,000 years away, and you're like,
we're speeding. We're taking 10,000 years of change. Excuse me. What you just said didn't make sense, and you know that I've detected the thing that was wrong about what you're saying. So you're talking over me to prevent me from getting to it, because it's not that something that happened 20 years in the future is now going to happen in 10,000 years. What's going to happen over the next 10,000 years is now happening inside of a lifetime. We have sped up 10,000 years to 100 years. Yes, it is.
Do more research, buddy.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
My producer's telling me to keep up with the donors, so I'm going to do that while you think about what argument you're going to do to try to get out of this corner that you've pivoted to about climate change. Because guess what? I'm knowledgeable about that too, bitch! Shut up and listen to the donors.
I
didn't fucking lie. Valor Child sent $5 to say, first time catching you live, but I've been... Dude, I'm going to start over if you yell over the donations. We can play this fucking game again. I need you to stop talking so people can hear the donation read. That's what they pay for. I need you to be quiet. I need you to... We can... If you want to demonstrate that I was lying, you can do that after I read the donations. So sit down and think about what you're going to say so that it's effective. Are you done talking? I'd like to read the donations. Valor Child, or Validor Child, sent $5 to say, first time catching your live. I've been watching your VODs a lot recently. Glad to be here. Keep up the good work. Thank you very much for the $5. And then we had Please Run Bigot from Price Child. Thank you for the $2. And then Adam sent $2 to say, why is this racist pansy still talking? Good fucking question. Adam sent another $7 to say, ask this racist what endogenous retroviruses are and why they're such powerful evidence for common ancestry. Yeah, I doubt he knows anything about that type of stuff.
Elite ball knowledge. Awesome.
I would like to point out that he's teacup, so he's running away to try to find. He's trying to get ChatGPT to figure out what he's supposed to say when I'm done reading the ads or reading the donations. Horsepower sent $5 to say, if you want some perspective on how many scientists believe in evolution, look up Project Steve. It's a list of only the ones named Steve. Yeah, I'm actually a really big fan of that project. It was introduced to me by Steven Pinker. Anyway, DeBlues sent $5 to say, ask this. Did I say study? That group, whatever that little gag they did was. Steven Pinker, he's one of the Steves. Anyway, DeBlues sent $5 to say, ask this guy how he feels about immigrants because climate change is already making parts of Earth uninhabitable and causing mass migration. Wow, could we come to a full pivot, full circle? Because we did start with immigrants. Anyway, 10,000 Seconds sent $10. The temp also met. I'm sorry, I'm not done. It's not your turn yet. I'm not finished. I'm not finished. Anyway,
you don't remember what we started with? It wasn't immigrants, it was white people.
I'm not finished. I'm not finished. 10,000 Seconds sent $10 to say the temp also matters. Example, I gotta mute you for that, dude. I don't want to have to edit copyrighted bullshit out of my VOD later. 10,000 seconds and 10... Kicked. You want to come back and want to keep trying? Get back in the fucking queue. But, like, no, you're not going to play copyrighted music on my show. That gives work for fucking Jessie.
Oh my God, please, I'm so tired. Why is the editing only
10,000 seconds sent $10 to say the temp also matters. Example, the sex of croc and alligator eggs matter by temp. 86 degrees below female, 91 almost all males. So a big shift can wipe out some reptiles. Yeah, I gave the altitude example. There's lots of examples of how a small degree temperature change on Earth as an average can really dramatically affect the living conditions of certain species. That's one I wasn't aware of. Thank you for that. That's a cool little snippet. We're going to talk to 24 hours in the life for $5. We're not going to talk to him. We're going to read his donation message. Caller, if you speed up 30 minutes, does it mean that you're 30 minutes in the past? Also, what are you on? Yeah, he's tracking the conversation. I don't think the caller was. John sent $5 to say, as an environmental scientist in Vermont, you are very much correct. Thank you. I happen to be the environmental science tutor at my college, so I have some professional experience that would suggest I have some idea of what I'm talking about. What's up, Jessie?
I just thought you were going to move on without reading anywhere else.
Oh no, I was gonna do the other ones because people are sending me lots of fucking money. Did I read Brian? I don't even think I did. He just said shut up, caller. I did read that one, but I felt like reading it again, even though I already disconnected that guy. He's running. He ran by playing copyrighted music, which gets you disconnected. I told him to get right back in the queue if he wanted to try after I was done, and he didn't because he a bitch. Jason said $2 to say humans are apes though. Humans aren't monkeys. Yes, they are apes, but not monkeys. We went over that. Zachary sent $5 to say, he says leftists are racist, but I bet he supports Jake Lang. Looking forward to seeing that motherfucker. August 22nd at City Hall here in Minneapolis. No show that day. I'll be live streaming from the streets over on YouTube only so we can see exactly what type of party Minneapolis throws for that piece of garbage and what type of assholes he brings with us. And if he tries to assault anybody, because he tends to fucking do that. Oh, look at that. Bad views did show back up in the queue. We'll have him back in just a moment. For $2, Jason said, thank you for kicking. MAGA garbage rap hurts my ears. I'm sorry, very Jason. We are going to give him another chance because, Anyway, Molly sent us $1 to say Francesca Hong is the Democratic Socialist and frontrunner for governor of Wisconsin. I sent the $50 earlier to remind people to vote today. Yeah, we should vote. I will be voting after the show today. Are you voting here or in your previous place? You moved recently. Did you get it sorted? Did you remember to re-register?
Yes.
Good. Jack sent $1 to say caller ain't no ape. He's a troglodyte. Burn. Jack sent another $1 to say listen to Troglodyte by the Viagra Boys. Viagra Boys are fun. Hope I'm allowed to say that word on TikTok. And no more buy me a coffees. Anything else on YouTube? Nope, we're good to go. All right, let's see. Bad views. I want him to answer a question. Why were you playing music on my show?
I thought it'd be funny.
Why?
Because you've been kind of rude to me up here, so...
Okay. But, like, you want to be on the show, which is evidenced by the fact that you are on the show voluntarily, correct?
Sure, yeah. I have a good time up here.
Okay, so why would you do something that causes me to ban you?
I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, dude, copyright. The show goes on YouTube. It's my job. No copyrighted music allowed. Also, just like generally making noise into the mic that isn't you telling me what you think about politics and these issues. Also not really allowed. Not what we're doing here. It's interesting to know that you like being up here. I don't really judge people for having humiliation kinks. What's the next topic?
Next topic? I don't even think we got through the first one.
What are we talking about?
I don't know. We've talked about a lot. What do you want to talk about? You called me a bitch. You said I wouldn't come back up.
We can talk about that. We can talk about why I think you're a bitch.
Sorry, I had a call real quick. What'd you say? You muted.
We could talk about why I think you're a bitch.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because whenever you keep bringing me these new things, there's a lot of pivots, and you pivoted to stuff where somebody would have to have like a bunch of general scientific knowledge to be able to adequately respond to the things that you were saying. And then when you detect that I have that scientific general knowledge, you start yelling over me, which I think is a bitch move.
Here's what I think your problem is. I think you assume that I'm smart enough to understand what's going on. I'm just trying to have a conversation.
Thank you, Lucky Phil, for the $2 over on Buy Me a Coffee. He said, donuts towards the Charlie Kirk Memorial Fountain.
That money better get there.
It won't.
He said it was for the Charlie Kirk Memorial Foundation.
And he signed up for the terms of service on Buy Me a Coffee that said I can do whatever the fuck I want with that money.
Oh.
Yeah.
Maybe you could at least give Charlie Kirk $1.
I don't think I can.
Just about to say that.
Yeah, I guess that'd be hard. Okay, so
In fact,
man,
just
I
sent
feel
$10
like
on Cash App to say bad views is emotionally abusive and manipulative. I agree. I really, really worry for the women you cross paths with. How terrible you must be.
what? Why do you think that?
Because of your behavior on my show.
Would it be fair to assume you the same, or?
No, I was talking about that with my girlfriend because she's been asked, like, what's it like dating this monster who just yells at people on the internet all day, and she's like, I don't have any reprehensible beliefs, so it doesn't really go there. I'm really chill in person.
There's also a woman voluntarily sitting next to him right now.
Am I an asshole, Jesse?
Why'd you word it that way?
I know I'm an asshole. Does it manifest problematically in our friendship?
No. Oscar's mean to me in a way that has pushed me towards success every day. I'm incredibly grateful to have him in my life.
Yeah, me too. Good old me and Oscar.
Who are you pushing to be successful, Bad Views?
He's pushing.
You, I've probably made you over $100 since I've been up here.
Potentially. I'm trying to get these callers like you where I just genuinely can't understand. Are you like a covert fan who's just trying to fucking line my pockets? Like, what is this?
No, actually, like I mean, Bad Views, like some have accused me of being a troll. For all you know, maybe I'm a leftist.
Yeah. But I still think that, like, you would serve the community better if you actually are on the left by, like, instead of being a clown of what's on the right, you should also point attention to who is on the right. Because I think in terms of your actions, you're helping the right. And it's my job to sit here and make you look bad.
Well, it's your job to make me look bad to leftists who think all Trump supporters look bad. You don't need to make them look bad. They just think they look bad because they support Trump.
It's not particularly hard to make you look bad.
I mean, how bad have I looked? Like,
chat, get creative and tell us how bad you think he's looked.
yes.
Let's see what people have. A leftist would know what was being talked about. Nobody touches my $1. Nobody. Bad.
Honestly,
Where do we start, caller? Name is fitting. Bad Views. Uh-oh, it's getting fast. Trojan Horse. Uh-oh, friendly reminder not to use all caps. Thank you, Tori the mod. Like a piece of shit, like a turd in the toilet, dog shit, not beating the humiliation, kink allegations, LMAO. The Great Depression was better time than this guy. Gross. Bathhouse. Worse than a victim of Hannibal Lecter. On a scale of 1 to 10, a banana. We can't see his face. I don't know. Mentally incompetent. They're coming in faster than I can read them. Smells like pennies. Collar's so annoying. Dante wrote of him. Deep track. He's transphobic. If 9 was a 10, he'd be an 11. Bottom of the barrel. Show your face. People want to see your face. Chipotle lettuce. Ooh, burn. Smells like shit. Smart as a rock. Big time whining baby. Yeah.
I saw one earlier that said Collar is playing 1D chess. That made my day.
That's fucking funny.
Oh, it is funny, especially when I always find myself on the winning side of things. You know, it's like what I want to have happens in the country. It seems to happen. You know, it's like, so you guys can think you guys are smart, but you guys can't win anything. How does it feel to just like woke one was crazy? Did you hear that?
So you've given up on looking good and like winning the debate. You're just falling back to the fact that you're such a bigoted monster that you consider what's happening in the country right now winning.
No, here's the problem: is people like you and people on the left.
Smoothie sent $5 to say leftists are racist, right? And which party do those people walking around with Confederate and Nazi flags belong to again? Yeah.
They literally carry around like Hamas flags. You think Hamas is racist?
I just don't think that that's representative.
That's the DSA. Wait,
Poor-
that's the DSA. Oscar, that's the DSA.
Who's got more flags? Who's got more flags?
Representative. No, let's go back to that.
I've done the thing where I found the question to ask, and you don't even want to let me ask it because you know it's going to make you look like shit. Honest, hand to God, tell me, do you think Republicans have more? Dude, seriously, it makes you look bad to run away from the question. The question is, do you think Republicans have more conservative flags, or do you think leftists have more Hamas flags? Or more Confederate flags. I think I may have said conservative flags. Confederate flags. Correct. Confederate flags versus... Answer the fucking question.
Oscar, I like the way you like to reframe things.
Answer the question.
We're going to go back to...
Answer the question.
The DSA carries...
Do you think that Republicans have more conservative... Or I keep saying conservative. Do you think that Republicans have more Confederate flags than leftists have Hamas flags? Yes or no?
Oh, yeah, for sure. 100%.
They definitely do have more Confederate flags.
That has nothing to do with, are we trying to compare the two? My point is the DSA that is slowly but surely taking over the Democrat Party, they are the ones that do carry the Hamas flags. Right or wrong?
Shannon, thank you for
That's right. Thank you for conceding that point.
I wasn't listening. Shannon sent me $100, so I was paying attention to that. She says, take my money, asshole. Do non-asshole things with it. Shannon, I really do intend to. Thank you for that. I'm also just going to read everybody who came in before that because I don't want to get lost, and that's really easy when donations are rolling in like this because Dylan sent like 25 cents to say the song that started playing is a very racist song. Yeah, thanks for pointing that out. I didn't pay attention to what song it was.
No, it wasn't. That guy's straight up lying to you, and you're like, yeah,
Ozzy sent $10 to say on climate change, greenhouse gases produced by humans have disrupted the Milankovitch cycle. We have delayed the next ice age by at least 100,000 years. A little fact check on you thinking we accelerated the ice age. I don't think that's right. I missed that one earlier. 10,000 seconds and $10 to say, I also want to say the biggest climate issue is a change that can cause the North Atlantic current to collapse. The current keeps Europe warm and not becoming frozen like Greenland. Yeah, so we could have something like a local ice age if that gets disrupted, perhaps, if you wanted to define it that way. Sorry, what were we talking about?
You like to reframe things. Can we go back and what do you feel about the DSA? You think? Do you support all these insane people that want to abolish the Senate?
No, see, I don't. See, once again, you're asking me a question like, when did you stop beating your wife? Because I have to agree that they're insane to even answer your question, and I don't answer loaded questions. I don't answer. Their platform is to be insane? I don't accept loaded questions, dude. I'm not going to do it. Try again. Answer a question that doesn't force me to agree to something I disagree with, and I will answer it.
I got it. Do you support the DSA platform?
Not entirely.
What do you not support in it?
I think that they have some approaches to like getting to a place of socialism or some more communistic ideals that are a little too fast for what I think is pragmatic and reasonable for the country.
Do you think we should abolish the Senate?
I've heard people talk about that. I've got a buddy, Zane Gustafson, who has a book on it. He's going to send that to me when I get him a P.O. Box number this week, because he wants to abolish the Senate. I think that it is a catastrophic flaw in the design of our government that we have such unfair representation by the senators, and I'd like for that to be addressed in some way. I'm not sure that abolishing the Senate's the right way, but I don't think it's fair that Wyoming gets as many senators as California.
It's also important to note that in the Constitution, it specifically says, I believe, that the Senate cannot be abolished.
Unless there's a constitutional convention.
Okay, that's never going to happen.
We've had one. It was in 1787, I think.
Yeah, so for how do you think what is it, 37 or 38 states have to agree?
Yeah, it's a lot of them. It would be very catastrophic. And actually, one of the reasons I really disagree with the DSA is because they think that sort of thing can happen sooner, and I don't. So I don't really think that those sorts of concerns, like abolishing the Senate, are particularly relevant to the modern political climate, because I don't see there being that level of cooperation amongst the states until decades from now, if we start making better progress on some of the issues we're facing today, which is where I misalign with the DSA.
Yeah, the Senate will never be abolished, but I mean, they want to load up the Supreme Court. Is that a response to what I said or just an assertion? The Senate will never be abolished? Dude, the heat death of the universe is coming, and that will abolish the Senate. Like, don't say something that's so demonstrably false. The question is when. Oscar, I'm sick of you being so literal with me.
Then call a different show.
But wait, do you want to pump up the Supreme Court and just add 4 liberal justices just because... I mean, the DSA... Sounds
like a pivot. Are you satisfied by my answers about the Senate and the DSA?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's why I moved on. Once I'm satisfied, I moved on. So SCOTUS, you think we need 4 more justices?
Before we move on, I will move on to SCOTUS. $5 from Frankie. He said, I'm getting so fucking dizzy from so many pivots bad views does. Yeah, I know. We're just playing Whiplash on the show today. Packing the court. You talking about packing the court?
Yeah.
I think that I can see a world where the number of Supreme Court justices should be increased, and I think that the method for selecting them should be changed. I think it's another weakness in our government system that the president appoints them, because that, to me, is kind of a violation of the separation of powers. So I think we should have some other means. But I don't think that we should pack the court just to get it packed with people who agree with me politically, because I don't support political ideas that I wouldn't want the other team using, and I wouldn't want the other team doing that, which means that that looks very appetizing, but it's only because it would cause us to win, and that for me isn't a good enough reason to support a political plan.
Yeah, and you would win, but then once the other side won, we would now have like 25 justices, right?
Right, yeah, I don't think that that's a good solution. I think we should have more Supreme Court justices than 9, but it's for reasons other than wanting to pack the court.
Okay, so yeah, it's a pretty good answer. You want to abolish prisons?
No. I want to
Yeah,
abolish
that's-
private prisons.
So you want? I mean, I guess I don't know what percentage of the prison are they all private prisons? Is
Let's
every
find
prison a
out.
private
Let's
prison?
see what percentage of prisoners are in prisons that are run by private corporations, because that would be the important figure, not the number of them. It would be the populations of them.
I would just need to know how many more people do we need to fund through taxes to put them in government prisons, you know?
Do you not recognize the harm that private prisons cause?
Oh, I do. I agree we shouldn't, well, for one, it shouldn't be for profit. Like, we shouldn't ever be
Right.
imprisoning people
And
for
private
profit.
prisons are for profit. That's where the incentive structure is
Of
problematic
course, yeah,
for
it's a
right. So I
private
don't
business.
so I don't think that we should be doing that with private enterprise. We should be doing it with taxpayer money. Yes.
Yeah, and now I just need to, I mean, if there's like, are we going to have to quadruple? I mean, how many government-owned prisons? Yeah, I'm curious. I've never looked into
Actually, if we're going to be concerned about the effect that it's going to have on like the cost of prisons under the federal government, it's actually not that much, because the private prisons are while very problematic, they aren't a very big problem against the population of prisoners. They have about 90,000 prisoners, which is about 7.4% of prisoners being in private facilities. So it would be kind of a drop in the bucket to reallocate that need to the federal system, and it would reduce the amount of harm that those people are seeing, because those people are subject to much worse conditions than people who are in federally run prisons.
There on that information you see, does it show where the private prisons are located? Like,
What's the relevance of that question?
Well, I'm just curious. Like,
I just want to know if it's worth our time to dig on that on the show, because I don't know the answer to that question, and
I'd be curious if it's like a state thing. Like, do states allow it to happen within their own states? Like,
private for-profit prisons incarcerated 90,000 American residents in 2022 represent 8% of the total state and federal prison population. Since 2000, the number of people in housed private prisons has increased 5%. Harmful crime policies in the 1980s beyond fueled a rapid expansion of the nation's prison population. The resulting burden on public sector led to modern emergence of for-profit prisons in many states, and the federal system. Of the 1.2 million people in the federal state prisons, 8%, or about 90,000 people, were in private prisons as of year-end 2022. States show significant variation in use of private prisons. At one end of the spectrum, Montana incarcerates almost half of its prison population in privately run facilities, but in another 23 states, private prisons are not used at all. A total of 27 states and the federal government use private corporations like Geo Group, Core Civic, LaSalle Corrections and Management, and Training Corporation to run some of their corrections facilities. Montana is not alone in its heavy reliance on private prisons. Alaska, Arizona, Hawaii, New Mexico, Tennessee rely considerably on private prisons for housing sentenced people. In these states, between 20 and 39% of the prison population residents are in for-profit prison, and then there's a table here listed on sentencingproject.org that answers your questions specifically if you are interested in researching that on your own time.
oh yeah, interesting.
Interesting
Well,
indeed.
yeah, I mean, I guess I can see why it makes sense. Like, for the state of Montana with such a low population, it's like maybe it's cheaper for them to get one giant private prison in there than to try to do it through the government.
Why do you want private prisons at all?
I don't. I already said that, but I'm just trying to understand why Montana takes half the population of the private prisoners. Just trying to make sense of that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we would have to look at the exact processes that led to that, because when you have states choosing to use a private organization, somebody in the government has to sign that contract. So it's a question of who is elected, who is put in charge of the prisons, like who did it. There's going to be a who done it on that state of affairs for each of these states, and you could go digging and figure that out. But I from the list of states that we saw, it does seem that there's probably going to be a diverse set of answers, because when we have states like Alaska, Arizona, Hawaii, New Mexico, and Tennessee, that's a pretty diverse set of states. So I bet there's going to be different answers for each of them. Because once again, the private prisons, according to this article, rose up out of a need for more incarceration, where the private prison system was able to respond to that need faster during the crackdown on certain types of crimes that happened during the 80s and 90s and up until the present. They reacted faster than the federal government. I think that just represents a failure of the federal government or the state governments that are supposed to be incarcerating these people. So I think that this is probably a list of states where the government, if I were to, my speculation here is that if I looked at the history of how these private prisons state of affairs happened in these particular states, it would just be a failure of the federal government to react to their own need to incarcerate people. Because if you have a policy that's going to result in greater incarceration, if you're going to increase enforcement action or something like that, you need to deal with the consequences of incarcerating more people. And I think if you're relying on private prisons, you've failed that as a government. Lucky Phil sent $2 to say, smells like bitch spirit. Thank you, Lucky Phil. See how you got tired of yelling at me and I'm not yelling at you anymore?
Yeah, but isn't it like, I do enjoy the conversation more when it can be more civil, but I also think it's kind of fun to yell.
Somebody in my Discord says that private prisons are still taxpayer funded. They are just privately run. This was his thesis in college. Rather than the government running and staffing them, we pay a private company to do this. Private prisons charged by the bed. And then there's a source from the Hamilton Project titled The Economics of Private Prisons, which I will probably save as a bookmark. It's probably a good one.
Yeah, well, I mean, if I remember later and I get motivated enough, I might go find out like the difference of treatment for the inmates in private versus government prisons. Maybe one's superior, but okay. Last one. Should we abolish the presidency as we know it, like the DSA wants to do?
Nope. I think it's important to have a seat of executive authority, particularly for responding to emergencies like warfare and natural disasters.
For sure. Yeah.
That's the point of there being a seat of the executive branch. One man in charge, like one commander in chief, so that there's somebody can sit atop the pyramid that is the command structure of the military. That is important.
Yep.
We have to work really hard to make sure that that person isn't too powerful. That's the big challenge with accepting that such a seat should exist. And I could see some very distant future where the circumstances of like socioeconomics in the country change in such a way that the ideals of somebody from the DSA or somebody from the Communist Party are more achievable. But I see that sort of thing happening on the scale of like 100 to 200 years from now. It's just not really relevant to politics right now. So in terms of what we're dealing with right now in our lifetime, no, I don't think it's sensible to try to abolish the presidency or the Senate for that matter.
Yeah, sounds like these radicals are really off their rocker.
They're closer to a good solution than you are.
I doubt it.
Well,
my ideas are the best ideas, and you would vote for me for president.
My ideas are the best ideas, the greatest ideas anybody's ever seen. You can ask anybody.
Yes.
Ask the chat. Oskar speaking here. Are my ideas the best ideas?
I mean, I'm a pretty reasonable, common sense kind of guy.
I don't like common sense. I think common sense is real dangerous.
Do you?
Yeah, I think common sense is real problematic. Humans are fucking stupid.
I want to know, what's the most dangerous common sense that we have in our society that's just like an accepted thing that everybody does or everybody knows that's just dangerous?
I think that's another loaded question, because the things that I'm most concerned about are not things that everybody does. They're things that lots of people do.
Okay, what's the most dangerous common sense?
Xenophobia.
So, wait, is it your claim that people that say it's common sense to keep people out of the country? Or?
No, I think that xenophobia is a thing about human psychology that we evolved, and it's really problematic. And I think that the way that we're going to address bigotry and racism in the country is by accepting the fact that humans are xenophobic creatures, and the thing that we can do to make people not be racist and bigoted because of their xenophobia is change the way that they look at their in-group and their out-group. Historically, in the plains of Africa, our in-group was a very small tribe of people, 1 to 300 faces that we could remember, 1 to 300 personalities that we could remember, and everybody else was the out-group. And it made sense in the plains of Africa 100,000 years ago to fear anybody who wasn't in the out-group, to not be kind to them, to be wary of them, to not trust them, right? Yeah. We don't live in a society like that anymore, so xenophobia presents a serious problem for the security of the human race, because that sort of skepticism around the out-group is no longer helpful. In fact, it's quite problematic. But what we can do, it's pretty hard to undo that hardwiring in our brain, but what we can do is we can broaden the in-group. And there's people like me who grew up in a giant melting pot metropolis. I grew up in Lower Manhattan, so my in-group is fucking everybody. Nobody can speak a language around me that makes me think they're not in my in-group. Nobody can have a skin color around me that makes me think that they're not in my in-group. Nobody can have a sexual orientation or a gender orientation that makes them feel like they're not in their in-group. My in-group is the human race, which is why I'm not a piece of shit. But I think we need to address the fact that by common sense, most people feel xenophobic towards other groups, and we need to expand the group that they consider the in-group.
I hear what you're saying. I mean, we came from apes. Like, did apes do the same? I imagine they had their own in-group.
Apes are mega xenophobic. They wage war against other tribes. Yeah.
So I guess why are you assuming that it's like a common sense thing? It seems like it's more of a human nature,
That's what common sense is. The idea that your brain is just equipped with the tools necessary to come to a reasonable conclusion without scrutinizing it. That's what common sense is. I like to call those precious feelings, and we need to use something other than that to assess policies that are supposed to make the world a better place in a more objective sense.
Yeah, but I'm really confused about this, because you're talking about feelings or whatever, but also aren't you also saying these are things that basically people are born with?
I think that xenophobia is generally a problem. Yes, we have some instinctual habits that they're bad, problematic for society that we need to address. Xenophobia being one of them.
So you just want to pretend like everything we know about every species and everything ever can just be changed if we just think different, or?
No, I didn't say that. I said that as what we've learned is that we can't really get rid of xenophobia, but we can make the in-group that xenophobes respect bigger, which is what happened to me in my childhood, which is why I respect everybody, except for assholes like you.
I completely understand what you're saying. Unfortunately, I think every race or whatever, however people divide themselves in this country, I think every kind of group participates in it. So the idea that we can all just agree that we're going to accept everybody, it seems more of like a impossibility.
Well, and I think that to say that we should like eradicate racism is just not a like realistic, practical goal. But we can make it better. We can change the zeitgeist of society. We can make people's in-group bigger. That's something that's accomplished by exposure. That's something that's accomplished by me reasoning with people who don't realize that they're using common sense instead of good reason to make assessments about, say, immigrants or whoever else.
Sure, I hear you. I mean, I don't think people really give a shit for example, say I'm standing somewhere and there's a group of immigrants all speaking a different language. Like, are those people? I couldn't even bring them into my in-group if I wanted to. There's a language barrier there. There's obviously
you could still view them as human beings who you trust, though. Like you don't need to be actual friends with them. You just need to perceive them as something other than the others.
Oh, so I just need to have a more positive thought.
No, it's a little more complicated than that.
Well, it's like, because if I can hear them speaking, but I don't know what they're speaking about, what should I assume? How do I ever bring them into my in-group? I don't understand this.
Because if you assess that most people are just decent folks trying to live their lives, you wouldn't be skeptical of a person because they speak a different language.
It's not that I'm being skeptical. It's that I'm walking past a group of people speaking a different language. I don't know what they're talking about. It's like, should I not be wary of that? It seems like if I want... Wait.
I encounter people who don't speak English all the time. I'm not wary of them. I get out Google Translate and we figure out whatever, if we're trying to buy something on Facebook Marketplace, I'm polite to them. When somebody who doesn't speak English encounters me on Facebook Marketplace because I'm trying to buy a guitar or something, there's always this tension where they're worried that I'm going to really mind that they don't speak English. And then when they say hey, my English is not so good, or however, in whatever broken English they say it, and I go, oh, 1 second, and I open up Google Translate and I'm smiling. That to them makes them go, oh, this isn't a xenophobic, racist asshole who's going to be a problem. He's trying to cooperate because we're in the same in-group, which is just people being friendly with each other, trying to buy something on Facebook Marketplace. So but somebody who grew up in a more closed-minded environment might not handle a situation in that way. They might handle a situation like that in a way that exudes the xenophobia they have for that person. I just don't have that xenophobia myself.
Yeah, you just seem like the kind of guy that when you're out in public, you're just very aware of your surroundings, and you got your head on a swivel. Or no, you're not that way.
I just don't know. What are you trying to assume about my character? What?
I just assume you aren't dumb and assuming that everybody has good intentions. And
dude, I went to high school in Harlem. Yeah, I know how to watch my back in a bad neighborhood. Sure. I live in a bad neighborhood. I know not to trust everybody, but because I'm not xenophobic, I make the determination on factors other than fucking skin color.
Yeah, that's good. I don't know what your point was with common sense. Obviously,
I brought up xenophobia as an example of something that, to me, fits the definition of common sense. Common sense is just assuming that your brain is wired in a way that it comes to the right solution. And it's just not. We've just learned that, trusting, what your brain presents to you in that way is not good unless you can have it backed with logical rigor. If you're doing, modal logic or propositional logic, or, if you want to draw conclusions about the way the world works, there are empirical conclusions that can tell you if your reasoning about it is good or bad. We need to depend on that stuff. It's those tools that cure cancer. It's those tools that make cardiologists good at saving people from heart attacks. It's those tools that have rid the world of smallpox and polio. These tools are very effective for making the world a better place. They're much better than common sense. So when people rely on common sense, I think it's because they don't like the conclusions that the tools that I just described are giving giving them, so they fall back to common sense, which I think is regressive.
Do you think some common sense is good?
There are times where the risks of getting it wrong are so small that you can try something with common sense. I'll give an example. I don't read the Google AI blurb at the top. You probably noticed how quickly I scrolled past it earlier when we were Googling things together, because when it comes to really important stuff, you just can't trust that sort of thing at all. And that's how I feel about common sense, because as it turns out, our brains are also large language models. There's actually some really interesting parallels between the way that something like Google's AI or ChatGPT works and the way a human brain works. But if I'm like using Adobe Premiere and I like need to figure out the keyboard, that's the software I use to edit my videos. If I need to like figure out what keyboard macro does a thing, I can Google it, and Google AI can give me an answer, and I can try it quick and go, oh, that didn't work. Or it did work, and then I get my answer right away. Like, that's the sort of task where it's not really problematic to use Google AI, and it's not necessarily problematic to use common sense, because if I'm using software I've never used before, I might go, common sense would tell me that this feature I'm looking for is probably in this drop-down menu. Ah, there it is. It says the keyboard macro is Control M. I'll click that. And that can get me there quickly. I can use common sense as a heuristic, but I have to be really careful about what I trust with it, or trust it with.
Okay, I think I'm finally to the greatest place I ever wanted to be. So common sense during COVID said what?
We had a common sense solution at the beginning that was wrong. Everybody was really focused on hand washing, which is still important, but there was like a month or two where we were doing TikTok videos about washing hands and stuff like that, but really it was mask wearing. Like, that's what the data told us was better. It was common sense that said, hey, there's a pandemic, we don't understand it, we don't have any good data to go on. Common sense says social distancing and hand washing. And that was better than doing nothing. That was better than not trusting any answer, because it's all we had. We updated it using the methods I just described. There's more empirical, logical methods to say, okay, hand washing is important, but mask wearing is way more important. We were right about the social distancing, and here are some other recommendations.
Interesting. I don't want to go off on a little tangent about social distancing, but common sense say, yeah, Dr. Fauci's being totally honest with us. Let's trust Dr. Fauci. Was that common sense? Because it turns out...
See, that's a question where I wouldn't say common sense is a good tool.
Yeah, we should have been skeptical of the science, right? Or whatever Dr. Fauci said the science.
How did you get there from what I said about common sense and COVID?
Because, I just assumed that we were going to get to the point where you were going to say, yes, it is common sense to trust the experts. If the science is saying to take the vaccine.
No, it's not that. The reason you should trust Fauci over Trump happens to be common sense if you're scientifically educated like I am, but you don't need common sense for it. I've just got done describing how those methods that I prefer over common sense are the things that solve cancer and heart attacks and diseases, and COVID-19 is a disease. So it is our trust in those methods that makes it reasonable to trust somebody like Anthony Fauci over somebody like Donald Trump, who told us to inject fucking bleach. Okay, so no, bro, you don't need. You can get there with common sense, but you don't need to, and you shouldn't.
I don't know if you saw the text that released about what Dr. Fauci was saying, but it's wild shit, bro. And by the way,
I don't think it is that wild. I think that when he said that he enjoyed the fame that he was experiencing in the beginning... No,
that's not what I'm talking about. New text messages were released the other day, and they are fucking wild, in my opinion.
What did they say?
So he was talking with another scientist guy.
No, you don't have it verbatim, so we're going to search it and look at it together.
He was just talking about, particularly after the second dose of the vaccine, perhaps some miscarriages were happening, and I think they kind of just, let's not tell anybody about it. Get your vaccine.
Well, so I look, before looking at this, because I want to look at it with you, I want to find this. I would have Jessie look it up, but she's in the bathroom right now. Here, do you know what I need to search to find this? I just searched Fauci texts, and I didn't find any screenshots.
Fauci
texts released. GOP senators released text from Fauci's government. Okay, so what I'll say before we look at this is that in general, I'm in a similar position to Anthony Fauci. I don't have any formal role, but I engage with the public, and I talk to the public about what I think is going on in American politics, and I have to be really careful about not, I've speculated with you. There's been a couple things that I've said here where I say I can only speculate as to this. So I'm really clear about whether or not I'm speculating. When the microphone's not on, when I'm not live, when I'm sitting on that couch smoking a J with Jessie and Raven talking about politics, when I'm sitting on my girlfriend's couch and we're talking about politics, I put my tinfoil hat on sometimes. I say maybe it's a grand conspiracy. I said maybe this is going on. I talk about all sorts of crazy shit I think might be going on, and then I refine all that thinking into what I think is actually reasonable to report to the public, and then that's what gets said on this show. And I'm very careful sometimes when I say that one of these conspiracy theories I think maybe has some credence, like that we've been lied to about the health status of Mitch McConnell. I think that's one where their behavior is so suspicious that it is reasonable for us to call shenanigans. I don't think that's the case for the White House Correspondents' Dinner shooting. I don't think it's fair to assert that it was a hoax. I don't think that that's a fair thing to say at all. So I'm really careful about that. So when I hear that private text with Anthony Fauci showed maybe some more outlandish ideas about what was going on, that sounds reasonable to me, and I'm very curious to see if the text messages are of the sort that I can, in consideration of what I just explained to you, think like, yeah, of course he was speculating in private about whether or not it was in a lab, like made in a lab, or like whether or not this approach would be good for the public, or whether or not the vaccines are going to be safe and ready in time. Like, these were unanswered questions that I'm sure he had loads of conversations about in private, but was responsible enough to refine his public conversation, his public discourse about those topics to things that he was only sure about. I've just primed you with my thinking going into this. Do you think my thinking is fair, given that I haven't even looked at these texts yet?
I think it's almost there, but I don't.
What's wrong with it?
I don't think you should make the assumption that Dr. Fauci was doing what he thought would be good for society as a whole.
I think that's actually a totally reasonable assessment of his character, given his decades-long history of serving the medical community.
All right. Yeah, we'll just have to disagree on that.
Wait, no, but I think that because of his resume, it's really weird to just be super skeptical of him because he'd given his life to serve the community by his involvement in public health. I mean, the guy had like fucking, I forget which magazine. I think it was like Time magazine articles about him in like 1990. He had a decades-long career of proving to society that he was trustworthy when it came to these things, which is why he had the job he did in 2020. Why are you skeptical of him?
Well, I mean, if you go back, the debate about gain-of-function research started in 2014.
Why? No, that's come out.
No.
Why are you skeptical of him?
Because of the I was skeptical during COVID, and now his diary.
Why were you skeptical of him?
Because I once saw him on TV say, we had 2 masks. There's no science that says we had 2 masks. 2 masks is actually probably more dangerous for you. And he made a fool of himself going on national television and say, yeah, we had 2 masks. It's like, shut the fuck up, you piece of shit.
So you trusted a soundbite of a person speaking in public over a decades-long career during which he served 7 presidents.
Wait, hang on. My experience with
that was a question. I want the answer. You weren't listening. I'll ask the question again. The question was, you trusted a soundbite of a person who didn't spend most of their career in the public eye in front of the public. You trusted that soundbite over a decades-long career where he had served 7 presidents, red and blue.
Oscar, I didn't know who Dr. Fauci was until 2020.
So yes, you judged him by that soundbite instead of his decades.
I judged him from how I know him. Yes.
Sounds to me like you were using some common sense, which we just got talked about is not a good way to judge these sorts of things, because you just reckon that he's not trustworthy because of that moment, instead of saying, oh, Anthony Fauci is becoming very important. Let's look into his history and see who this guy is. Did you Google Anthony Fauci and read about him in 2020? I did. I was very curious about his history and his career. Oscar.
You just asked me. Tell me a reason why you don't trust this guy. And so I brought up one of many reasons, and you said, now because of that, it's like you forced me to give you a specific answer, and then you accused me of only having one reason.
Okay, give me another reason.
From the very get-go, I thought the idea of shutdowns were insane, using my own logical thought processes.
You used logic to deduce that shutdowns were insane during a pandemic, and you don't trust Anthony Fauci because he disagrees. Do you, just true or false?
I thought
shutdowns are a
when Anthony Fauci told little kids to learn at home for a whole fucking year.
Have you ever heard the phrase "safety first"?
Safety for who? We knew it was safe for the kids.
I'm sorry.
COVID was not a threat.
You're yelling again, which demonstrates that we're in another part of the conversation where you don't like my line of questioning. I'm a professional educator. I have spent most of my working time as an adult being in schools educating. I resigned as a high school teacher when this show became successful enough to pay for my bills so that I didn't have to double work anymore. That was awesome. Thanks, everybody, for that. I really, really feel for the kids that lost educational time to COVID. But that's not our fault. That's COVID's fault.
Oscar, what was the science saying about kids and COVID? Tell me. Tell me it was saying it was dangerous.
They were less likely they were less. Dude, stop yelling over me. I'm willing to answer these questions. You look worse not letting me answer them. It is less likely to kill young people. They are just as likely to spread it to their families and cause them to die. Children are fucking super spreaders, dude. Have you been around kids?
Is it fair to say that
I hope you haven't been around kids.
I have. Too bad.
Okay, so, children spread the disease faster than other members of the population because they're not very good at exercising the sort of responsibilities that we were just talking about. Social distancing, hand washing, mask wearing, all that stuff. So even though it was less likely to kill those children, the harm to society of having children not participate in the shutdown would have been very great.
Yeah, Oscar, I came to the conclusion, I think I came to it pretty early during COVID, that we were sacrificing younger people for the safety of older people. And I think that's a pretty fair assessment of our response to COVID.
We still made children safer by shutting down.
We sacrificed their education.
We did sacrifice their education. I'm an educator. Yes, we also sacrificed the educational hours available to students by running school shooter drills, which are some of the worst things I ever had to do as a high school teacher, is run a simulation of somebody running into the building and trying to murder them all. But we spent time doing that instead of teaching them world history because we know that safety is important.
Oscar?
Yes.
I completely disagree.
You disagree with what?
Well, you're saying safety is important as it's the most important, and safety for who? You're talking about old people or
No, I'm talking about everybody. I'm talking about the fact it's bad for society overall when the medical system...
You're not talking about you. COVID wouldn't have done shit to you. You would have beat the fuck out of COVID.
First time I got COVID, me and my ex were laying in bed, and we had like fevers of 101 that weren't being fixed by medicine, and we had to make a plan on how to deal with it if we felt we needed to go to the hospital. It was really scary. I thought I was going to die.
Did you die?
Yeah, I died.
Okay. That's too bad. I wish I could be here with you. Sorry, Oscar. I just think we sacrifice young people for old people's safety, and I thought it was pretty obvious.
Why did you say what you just said to me about COVID? I was very scared when the first time I was sick with... I've had COVID like 4 times now because I have an immunity to it, and it has evolved to be less dangerous, which these sorts of pathogens tend to over the years that humanity fights them with shutdowns and medicines and that sort of thing. So thankfully, it's getting closer to the flu or the cold. It's just becoming an endemic disease instead of a pandemic disease. That's great. When it was still a pandemic disease, and it was still very scary, I was sick with it, and I feared for my fucking life. Why are you sitting here telling me that wasn't going to be a problem for me when as a matter of fact it was, and you just didn't know that about me?
Well, yeah. So I assume you got the first or second variant.
My ex was an educator, so she was in the first round here in Minnesota. I wasn't an educator at the time, so she got the vaccine in I think January or February of 2021, which was really early, and I got it as soon as it was available to any other adult, which was a few months later. And it was January of that year before she got inoculated that we were sick.
Yeah. I mean, you didn't like the natural immunity?
What does that question have to... I mean, I liked the natural immunity after having it. That's also true of Lyme disease. I had Lyme disease something like 10 years ago, and I really enjoyed all the time I got to spend in the woods in northern Minnesota knowing that I was immune to the Lyme disease that's carried by ticks up there because I managed to survive without like lifelong effects of Lyme disease, which meant I was very well inoculated against it. I'm sad today that that's over, but that doesn't mean I enjoyed having Lyme disease. That doesn't mean that Lyme disease wasn't scary. That doesn't mean that wasn't like the worst month of my life. That was worse than when I had COVID.
Yeah, I mean, and I imagine you would agree that once the time Omicron came around, like we needed to stop fear-mongering people, that it became very undeadly after the second variant.
No, you can say that with hindsight about certain strains, but no, we need to still exercise extreme caution about these things.
No, that's what the science has always said. If it's too deadly to kill the host, they'll actually it morphs, right? So it won't kill the host.
Well, no,
you're
you're not being careful with your language. I don't think you understand evolution enough to talk about why pathogens evolve in the way that they do. It has to do with the R value associated with different strains. The R value represents the likelihood of any infected person in a population infecting more people. With an R value of greater than 1, you get exponential growth. With an R value of exactly 1, you get something more endemic like the cold or the flu. And if it's less than 1, the disease gets eradicated. The exact nature of the disease, the way that it engages with the body, the actual features of the disease as they evolve genetically, that can affect the R value. But the way that society responds to it with things like shutdowns, social distancing, masks, vaccines, hand washing, that sort of thing, can also affect the R value. So scientists look very carefully at the data they get from people who are testing positive for different variants, like Omicron, for example, and they look at the R value and they can say, is this a disease that's more likely to spread? And in consideration of that, a disease that has a great R value, or a disease that has an R value will have its R value lowered if it's so deadly that it kills its host before they're able to spread. That's what happens with Ebola. Ebola is terrifying and horrifyingly contagious to the people who take care of people with Ebola. But because people who have Ebola look like literal fucking zombies, they bleed out of their fucking eyes and ears and mouth and stuff like that, people are fucking cautious around people with it, which reduces the R value. Whereas with something like COVID, one of the things that drove the R value up is that there was a gestation period where you were contagious without yet showing symptoms, which people had no way to respond to societally, which brought the R value up. These are the sorts of things that scientists consider when they give public health guidance about a pathogen. And I don't think that you and your common sense consider any of that when you sit here and spout bullshit about COVID on my show.
All right. Well, let's talk about some bullshit. Let's get into these texts, huh?
Sure. What do I search to find them? Let's see. Fauci discussed potential risks, benefits from COVID vaccine for pregnant women in 2021 text released by GOP senators.
Yes.
Okay. The 11 text messages that were made public Monday were more 34,000. I just want the fucking texts. Do you know of a website that's just released them? I don't want to read an interpretation of them. I want to read them. I want to read the texts themselves.
I imagine you could probably find it on the GOP. I mean, whatever committee released it, I imagine you could find it there.
I googled Fauci texts released. Why? Okay, here we go. U.S. Senator Ron Johnson. Senators Ron Johnson, Paul released initial text from Fauci's government iPhone. Okay, here we go. Let's pull this up. All right, Dr. Fauci, from Dr. Fauci, I asked around a bit more, and another issue came up that you may need to be aware of. Since many people have significant cytokines, storm, and fever after second dose, this theoretically could be associated with miscarriage in the first trimester. Yeah, that sounds like the sort of concern to watch for when you're studying vaccines. Do you have a problem with that text message?
I would have a problem if he was saying things in public encouraging people to get the vaccine regardless if they were pregnant in the first trimester.
Right. But
you would have a problem with that too, right? If he was saying this in private and he was going on
I don't think you listened earlier when I talked about the fact that I speculate in private about all sorts of random
I did. I absolutely
I'm also reiterating for the audience, which has turned over because we did that 10 minutes ago. So let me say it again, which is that I, in the privacy of my own home, when this live stream isn't running, say all sorts of outlandish things about what I think might be going on in politics, what I think the motivations of different actors are, what I think the outcomes of different elections will be, what I think different conspiracy theories might be true, like the one that Mitch McConnell's probably dead or in a coma or something like that, or otherwise incompetent to serve, or like all these different things. But I'm very careful about the information that I deliver to the public. So you could find the equivalent of this text message, which is me saying something crazy, like that I think that Mitch McConnell's actually I talked about that one in public, but all these other things, like I speculated about the assassination attempts of Donald Trump being hoaxes. Like I think out loud about that sort of stuff. And you could compare that private conversation to my public perception and say, well, look at that. Behind closed doors, Oskar Quentin is saying that he thinks it's possible that Donald Trump's, some of his attempts were false flag missions, or he discussed the possibility or said maybe, here's a detail that people are saying who think that that's the case. Maybe we should look into that. But on his show, he says that he doesn't think it's reasonable to assert with confidence that those were hoaxes. But those two things are consistent with each other. I look at everything when I'm offline. When I'm online, I try to keep it to stuff that I want people to regurgitate, that I want people to know, that's Oskar Quentin's solid perspective. That's what he thinks is actually going on. So if Anthony Fauci was doing anything other than investigating these sorts of concerns behind closed doors, I'd be concerned. So no, I'm not concerned seeing a message where he's talking about that, because this is him being extra fucking sure that he wants to make sure that this stuff gets covered before he gives public health guidance about it. As a matter of fact, were these concerns realized? Yes or no?
Well, it looks like right there it shows public statements made. Why don't we see what they were saying publicly while they were saying this privately?
Where does it say that?
Well, it says February 3rd, 2021.
Okay.
And what does it say? Yeah.
So it looks like, so it says FDA, Fauci said on February 3rd of 2021, FDA have found thus far, and we have to be careful, but thus far no red flags about that pregnant women. So look at that.
That's insane.
Yeah,
That's
a week
lie.
prior. Look, let's figure this out. A week prior, on January 25th, he was talking and said, I asked around a bit more, and another issue came up that you need to be aware of. Since many people have significant cytokine storm and fever after the second dose, this technically could be, I like the word could, be associated with miscarriage on the first trimester. So here, let's look at the timeline. In January, he was asking around with experts about concerns, and then in February, he was reporting that while we still have to be cautious, they hadn't found any concerns. This, to me, is consistent.
Wait, you think that's consistent?
Yes, him asking about concerns, talking about concerns in January, and then to the public a week later reporting that while they have to be cautious, none of that investigation about the concerns have brought up any red flags.
They discussed a red flag a week prior.
Did he say that okay, does this green block of text say that the vaccines are definitely a problem for pregnant women?
No, but a week later they said it definitely wasn't.
Right. That tracks. A week prior, he was talking about if they were a concern for pregnant people, and then a week later, he was reporting that they weren't.
So they went from maybe to absolutely not in a week? That's how science works?
Sometimes.
Do you believe that's what happened?
Probably.
Why don't we go on? Let's see some more public statements. And I'm sure they got some.
6 months later, we are not seeing a signal of safety concerns about the vaccine and pregnancy. This vaccine can prevent COVID-19, and that's the primary benefit. Look at that. A much more confident statement 6 months later.
Yeah, why? But why?
Because 6 months had elapsed. Do you think that 6 months is not enough time for him to become more confident than he was in February, 1 week after this text was sent? Again, this just makes sense.
Wait.
Not common sense, actual sense.
Wait, you don't know. What does the science show about the effect on pregnant women in the first trimester? Do you know? Or are you just asserting that it's not the cause of miscarriages?
I'm working with I happen to know that generally pregnant women are a group that we have to be very cautious about giving vaccines to in general, because there's
you knew that. Dr. Fauci, when he went on TV on February 3rd, he didn't know that. He said, nope, no red flags.
That's not what I just said. I just said that. That's not what I just said.
Fuck Dr. Fauci.
No, that's not what I just said. What I just said is that when we have a vaccine for any disease, we can look at different groups that it might affect. And the one group that's always of interest is pregnant women, because the developing unborn child in the womb is much more susceptible to the sort of side effects that can be caused by vaccines, including fever. Fever is something that's a little dangerous.
I got it.
Right. So we give extra attention to making sure that those groups are safe. And we're looking at a chronological record of Fauci doing exactly that.
Wait, show me the data they found before August 11th.
This is sea lioning. You are asking me for questions that are not necessary for us.
You're asserting that what he said in the text message was not actually true. You're asserting that what he was saying publicly was true, and
that's not what I'm asserting.
Yeah, you are.
He doesn't assert anything in the text.
He asserts there's a red flag. We should be cautious of this.
Yes, that's not an assertion. I assert that we should check on this before we announce to the public, and then a week later he announces it to the public. That just makes sense, dude. Like, what do you mean?
I am very confused because there's no information. There's no information that you're looking at right here on the screen that it says it is not causing miscarriages. What happened in that week?
But there's no evidence saying that it is, and you're asserting that he's misbehaving given the evidence that's on the screen, and I'm just saying you can't conclude that he's misbehaving.
Wait, Oscar.
Yeah.
Do we agree that the text message is a red flag?
For Fauci?
No, the information...
They are discussing a concern for pregnant women about the vaccine. Yes, a concern.
Wait, are we going to say it's a red flag?
No.
Okay, no red flag.
I just don't know what you mean by red flag. Red flag isn't really a term that's used by scientists to discuss vaccines. It was used
on February 3rd. On February 3rd by Dr. Fauci. He said there was no red flag. That's why I'm wondering, did he take this information that he knew and assert himself that wasn't a red flag?
So he said it here, right? But that's a week later. So like, if he's going to say to the public, I'm going to explain it again, even though I already have. If he's going to say to the public that there are no red flags, I would expect his phone to show that over the weeks prior, he was talking with other experts that he was connected to being like, guys, we got all these concerns that are standard for like pregnant women with vaccines. We got to make sure there are no red flags because I'm doing this announcement next week. Can anybody find any concerns that have credence? What about the cytokines and the second dose fever and all that stuff? Can we please investigate that? And then a week later, he said there's no red flags. That's consistent. That makes sense. That means he's doing his job well.
I just don't understand how you see that and see it in your worldview there. I just
what the Republicans are asserting is that he said in private that the vaccines are definitely dangerous for pregnant women, and that in public he said they definitely weren't. That is not what it says on the screen.
No, hang on, wait. I'm thinking for myself up here. I know that you're just like saying whatever, but I'm
pretty sure I'm thinking for myself up here.
Oh, okay. You
brought me the story. I had never heard of this because it released yesterday.
Oscar,
I'm interpreting it live on the air.
Oscar, if you were told this information, hey, this is a possibility after the second dose of the vaccine, and you have a pregnant wife, like, is it a red flag for you?
Trust the doctors.
You say, should we hold off?
Trust the doctors.
The doctors were saying there was no red flag a week later.
Trust the doctors.
What are you talking about? Trust the experts, no matter what. Say whatever they say.
If I had it, you're yelling at me.
They're saying privately.
You're yelling at me because you don't like my answer. But if I said that, if I had a pregnant loved one who was asking me, I would say trust what the doctor tells you. That's what I would tell them. They're going to have better, more up-to-date information than me. They're going to interpret it better. They're better at making decisions for people's safety than I am in consideration of this evidence. I'd say trust the doctors.
Yeah. Do you think he was so good he should have won? I think he won north of $1 million worth of awards given by the U.S. government.
I think you're just flailing now because I think that your claim that this shows some sort of...
No,
yeah, because this has nothing to do with...
differently.
True or false, is what's on the screen right now evidence of Fauci being inconsistent or good at his job?
Wait, see the additional text right there? Let's go to those, huh?
What we've reviewed so far, is there evidence of inconsistency or him being good at his job?
You can't see the inconsistencies. I can see the inconsistencies.
Oh, okay. Then we shouldn't move on. What are the inconsistencies?
He basically, what I consider to be a red flag, you don't consider it to be a red flag. That's why
I'd like to understand that about you. Why is it that it doesn't make sense to you that Dr. Anthony Fauci, a week before stating this to the public, was having private conversations that were geared towards trying to make sure that this is true?
Well, what he said publicly a week later was inconsistent with what he was saying privately. Tell me I'm wrong about that.
You are wrong about that.
Okay, so tell me...
If on Monday I say, hey, Bill, here's this thing. Some people
Open up the text.
Please listen.
Open the text.
Please listen. If on Monday I say, hey, Bill, there's this thing people are concerned about. I'd like to know if it's a red flag. And then on Tuesday, I say to the public, me and a bunch of people, including Bill, have assessed that there are no red flags. Is that inconsistent?
Well, what are the answers? Open up the text. Let's see what...
I want you to answer the question I just asked you. Is that consistent in the hypothetical example I just gave?
When you say there's a thing that we aren't going to call a red flag, but there's these things...
No, you're changing it, so I'll restate it. If on Tuesday I state that I've investigated and there's no red flags, and then on Monday it comes out that I had a conversation about whether or not something was a red flag, does that show that I lied on Tuesday?
Well, we'd have to find out what else you said on Monday.
Right. So we're looking at the information on the screen, and we have what was said on Monday. I'll read it again for everybody. Fauci said in a text message, I asked around a bit more, and another issue came up that you need to be aware of. Since many people have significant cytokines storm and fever after the second dose, this theoretically could be associated with miscarriage in the first trimester. That was a week prior, and then a week later, he said, FDA have found thus far, and we have to be careful, but thus far, no red flags about pregnant women. So is that inconsistent?
I mean, whatever you say. Like I told you we aren't going to agree on this.
Why aren't we going to agree? What's so wrong with you that you can't understand that it makes sense that the guy in charge of investigating the red flags, the guy who announced that they hadn't found any red flags yet, though they still need to be careful, a week prior was discussing whether or not something was a red flag?
Wait, hang on. But you are asserting this is the only text message.
I didn't assert that. What happened, the reason we haven't moved on is because I asked you if we, given the information that's on the screen right now, if there's an inconsistency, you say yes, I say no. Why move on until we quell that? We're not going to be productive adding more information here until we assess whether or not there's an inconsistency on the screen. I have explained 5 times in a row why I don't think there's an inconsistency, and I still don't understand why you think that there is.
Well, because when I read that, it can be tied to possible miscarriage in the first trimester.
It didn't say it can be tied. It said this theoretically could be associated.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
That's okay. Is that an assertion that it is associated?
It's an assertion that it could be.
Yes. And then a week later, he said that they hadn't found any good evidence that there was such a tie. Where's the inconsistency?
Well, he's asserting that there is no evidence. Like,
maybe red flag, no red flag. What's the inconsistency?
Well, we don't have enough information.
Then why, if we don't have enough information to assess that this is inconsistent, are you asserting that there's an inconsistency on the screen?
Why are you asserting we have enough information?
I'm saying that given the information on the screen, I don't see an inconsistency. Your claim is that there is an inconsistency. That's why we're looking at this. So we can keep looking. If you agree that there isn't an inconsistency demonstrated on the screen, I could say that this is a conversation where we're checking if there are inconsistencies, and then later if we find an inconsistency, I might say there's an inconsistency. Or maybe if later we don't find any more consistencies, I can conclude the conversation by maybe later next week saying something like, yeah, we looked very carefully at all these texts with Anthony Fauci and we didn't find any inconsistencies. And then somebody might pull up this episode and be like, look at this, Oscar. Here you are talking about possible inconsistencies in Anthony Fauci's text messages. Would that be an inconsistency from me?
Why do you have to make it so fucking difficult, Oscar?
Because I'm right and you're wrong, and it's difficult to navigate a conversation when your foundation is wrong.
Well, your foundation is not as strong as you think it is.
Yes, it is.
Open up those text messages. Let's see what else was said.
No, we haven't moved on yet. True or false? Is there an inconsistency from Fauci on the screen right now?
No.
Okay.
Is that what you wanted to hear?
Well, okay, now it sounds to me like you said that even though you don't think it's true, which is disingenuous. Why would we move on if we don't agree about that? Because if we just read more text messages, you're just going to tell me that the inconsistency was there all along, because in your heart, that's what you think is the case, even though I don't think that's the case, and we're looking at it right now. Why are we doing that? Why would we move on?
Wait, you know what's funny about this? Because I have a feeling that these other text messages will probably help your point. But
I have enough rigor in the way that I navigate these conversations to refuse to move on until you convince me that you agree that there isn't an inconsistency here.
I already agreed.
I'm sorry. I took a cookie from the cookie jar. I'll say sorry because the host made me, even though I don't actually understand what he's talking about. I haven't followed his argument and I haven't demonstrated that I believe him. But okay. Are we reading August 11th now? Is that where we're starting?
No, we're going to open up the text messages.
Which text messages? Where are they?
Scroll up. There's a link. There's a link right underneath the. Right.
Oh yeah, here we go. Additional text from this conversation could be found here. Okay.
Oh, that was the problem. You didn't know what the fuck I was talking about.
The problem was that you said that there was an inconsistency shown on the screen, and I couldn't find it, so I wanted to quell that before we moved on.
Yeah.
Actually, before we do that, I'm going to read some donations because it's been a little while and I bet they've piled up. Miss Angel sent $3 to say, currently going through a breakup. Can you shout out my ex for being a bitch? Your ex is a bitch. Thank you for the $3. Oh God, I'm so far behind. Casey sent $1 to say, for caller, you can also look inward and see, oh gosh darn it, Venmo, stop making me refresh. Casey sent $1 to say, caller, you can also look inward and see where your xenophobia comes from and how we fix it. Growing is always possible. Yeah, he's not interested in growing. That's pretty fucking clear. Thank you for the $1, though. Candace sent $25. Thank you for the $25. Loving the show today. Thank you, Candace. I'm having a good time, too. This is an interesting one. Josh sent $1 to say, ICE is detaining people who go to these core civic concentration camps. They are telling the government it costs X dollars per prisoner. The camps are then sending a fraction of that per prisoner and are pocketing the difference. They are holding people indefinitely. See, I can't co-sign that claim. I haven't heard any good evidence of that. That might be worth investigating, though. Maybe somebody on the Discord can fact check that and send me some resources about it. Thank you for the $1, though, Josh. Casey sent another $1 to say, For caller, don't also assume people are less intelligent with broken English because English is their second or third language. Good point. I think that gets back to our xenophobia thing. See, that's why I got to read these more frequently because they things get lost. Nurse Elliot sent a little bit more than $1 to say, if you could read my text during COVID, they would be likely similar to Fauci. None of us knew what was happening. We were all scared and we were constantly ridiculed by the public. Trust health professionals. Yep.
But he did know what was happening. That's the difference.
Yeah, you need to prove that, bitch. Shut your mouth and let me finish reading the donation messages.
It's already proved. You just have to read.
Yeah, I would love to. We'll do that in a second. Vicky sent $3 to say, Oscar, why do people say kids missed years of school? That's just not true. From what I see, they missed a total of 3 quarters. Next, ask the caller why Fauci would devote his entire life to science just to purposely hurt people. Fauci is a hero to people. Yeah, it doesn't really make sense. Like, do you think it was it was some sort of long con that he was gonna like be a medical professional in charge of the CDC for like decades just to pull this hoe? It's ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense to me. Kind of fails the Occam's razor test. Not that that's all that rigorous a test, but still, it just doesn't make any fucking sense to me. Seriously. And as for missing years of school, I will actually say as an educator that like it was like 3 quarters that we had to like stay home, but that was disruptive enough of what education was like in the years after that the disruption to K-12 education was longer than those 3 quarters because it's hard to then figure out what to do when those kids come back in a way that gets them up to speed. So I actually co-sign the argument that it's like really 2 or 3 years of core education that kids lost depending on how old they were in 2020. Josh sent $1 to say, no need to read this one. I'll read it to myself. Appreciate you, Josh. Appreciate you very much. And then Jordan sent $5 to say, the disconnect between you and the guest is that he can't comprehend someone's views changing in any capacity in accordance to the evidence. That feels like what most MAGA do. Yeah, it's like he's just like unwilling to consider the fact that Fauci had an open mind in January of 2021 or whenever that was.
Wait, Oscar,
I'm sorry, you just ordered me to wait. I'm going to say no because I'm not done reading the donation messages. Patrick sent $5 to say, reason to protect kids from COVID. There are links between certain diseases in childhood and higher rates of dementia/Alzheimer's. We don't know the long-term effects yet. Reasonable to exercise caution. I agree. And then over on Buy Me a Coffee, do we have anything more from Lucky Phil? Oh, we've got a few other people. Lucky Phil sent $2 to say, according to Chad GPT instead of Chat GPT. That's funny. Bobby sent $10 to say, you're the best in the game, man. Keep up the great work. I appreciate you very much. LM sent $1 to say, member of White House press. Member of
second best.
I'm sorry. I need you to shut your mouth and let me finish reading the donation messages, please.
Sure, yes, sir.
Good boy. LM sent $1 to say, member of the White House press corps here. If you ever want to talk about Butler or the White House Correspondents' Dinner shootings, I would love to squelch the stupid conspiracy theories that I honestly mostly see from the left. Yo, for real, message me on Instagram. Like, please. I would love to have a conversation with you. Isn't it cool that people who have like semi-privileged knowledge are reaching out to me and so I can have a more comprehensive worldview? Very exciting that people take...
You don't even know my knowledge, Oscar. You should feel privileged that I'm up here spending my day with you.
It is going well for me, so thank you for that, but I wouldn't call it a privilege. Yeah.
Oh, it's definitely a privilege.
Yeah, according to you. I think you're a little biased towards that topic. Anyway, over on YouTube Super Chat, Blancs sent $5 to say, no shot he actually seriously said out loud, I have never heard of him, but I judged him for how I knew him as a reason that makes sense. I'm dying. You did say something to that effect. It was very funny. Jackal sent $5 to say Fauci worked directly. I'm sorry, I'm not done reading the donation messages.
Say it again. Read that again. Read the last one again. What did I say? What?
No shot he actually seriously said out loud, I had never heard of him, but I judged him for how I knew him as a reason that makes sense. I'm dying. Yeah, your skepticism around Fauci doesn't make any sense to me. Jackal Bear sent $5 to say Fauci worked directly with HIV/AIDS patients in the 80s and he went to a bathhouse to help figure out how it was spreading. Definitely self-serving. Sarcasm emoji. Yeah, dude, like I don't understand how people can think this guy is interested in anything other than public health and safety.
I can point you to some information there, Oscar.
We're going to try. For $5, she said, we don't know what COVID does in the long run. Was smart to limit exposure to kids. Some diseases in youth can lead to higher rates of dementia, Alzheimer's. Oh, another person who brought that up. Owl sent $5 to say, I wonder why we got Fauci's text before the Epstein files. curiouser and curiouser. Very funny.
Yeah, for real. They've had
not
those
funny.
things for decades.
Yeah, it's fucking upsetting that we don't have those Epstein files in consideration of the Epstein
100%.
Files Transparency Act. For $2, Rob's wife sent Fauci specifically isn't OB. He needed to consult. Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's like he's not an OBGYN, so like it makes sense to me that he's reaching out to people who have better expertise about pregnant women and vaccines in particular before he relays to the public. Again, totally consistent. It's like Republicans think that scientists are just like playing billiards in a back room, like fucking shooting the shit about what they should say. Well, but we actually have evidence of him doing his job well, and they're just calling it evidence of him being inconsistent. It's hilarious.
Yeah,
Alchemix sent $5 to say, why doesn't the rest of the world want to punish Fauci? Doesn't MAGA remember this was a global pandemic, not a domestic one? Yet no one seems to agree. Yeah, the rest of the world agrees with Fauci. We don't talk about that very much, do we? Tim Davidson sent $2 to say Occam's razor, closest shave theoretically possible. Funny. I appreciate that joke. Let me just pop back over to Venmo because it was the first one I read. Oh yeah, look at that. The balance did go up. Thank you, AJ, for the $10. AJ said, Venmo, fix your fucking app. For $10, AJ said elected official over in CT. Keep it up. That one wasn't Venmo. It was just a short message. Interesting. Wonder what type of seat AJ has. Thank you very much for the $10. I appreciate that you appreciate what I'm doing. I'm not done reading the donation messages. Can you be patient? Rachel sent $5 to say or $3 just to say healthcare professionals put their lives on the line, and then Venmo cut hers off, I'm pretty sure. So let's double tap that and get it open again. Put their lives on the line every day during COVID to keep assholes like him safe. W, them, and L guest. Yeah, I think you're like really ungrateful of the system that existed around you to protect you from this horrible thing that happened to planet Earth, which I think is quite a shame.
COVID. I've never even had it.
Yeah, I thank. Would you thank Anthony Fauci for that?
That I never got it?
Yeah.
I never wore a mask or social distance either.
Yeah, but other people, but you don't wear a mask to stop yourself from getting it. You wear a mask to stop you from giving it to other people. So it was other people wearing masks that stopped you getting it. Can you thank all the mask wearers for preventing you from ever getting COVID? I had COVID and it was really scary and I thought I was going to die. I'm really glad that didn't happen to you. Can you thank all the people who cooperated with public health and safety advice to make sure that you didn't get COVID?
Yes, I will say this. I drove Lyft during COVID in Colorado, and some people did want me to wear a mask, and I wore a mask for them, but for the most part, people didn't want to wear a mask. So I will say thanks to the 5% of people that thought they were ridiculous enough they needed to wear a mask 9 months into this thing, thinking they already hadn't had it.
I'm not interested in reading these texts until you take more seriously the fact that people went out of their way to make their lives more inconvenient to protect you, and you get to sit here and be an asshole about it.
Bro.
No, you didn't. No, years later, you're sitting here and disparaging people who worked hard to keep you safe, and that's fucking reprehensible. You're a fucking child. I can forgive Scout for being a house cat. She yells at me every morning to feed her, and she doesn't understand how the world works, and she thinks she's entitled to that food, and she is because I love her. She's a house cat. That's okay. I don't care that she's a little egocentric. I don't care that she doesn't understand the greater world around her and doesn't understand exactly how much went right for her to be able to live comfortably in this apartment with me. But you are a thinking human being who is capable of speaking English and interpreting information. And the fact that your brain operates like that of a house cat, which is that you seem to think that you're entitled to the safety and security that you enjoy with no understanding of how it is delivered to you, I find that deeply reprehensible and, I say, un-American. How fucking dare you disparage the people who worked so hard to keep you safe? Why the fuck are you like that, dude?
Oscar, who was I putting at risk when I went out and just lived my normal life?
You could have had COVID and not known it. We don't know for sure if you had COVID because not everybody was symptomatic. Many people had COVID without symptoms and spread it to other people. For all we know, there is blood on your hands for being one such person, and we can't even say that you tried not to be one such person. I could be one such person and not know it, but I know I tried to not be one such person, and you didn't, and you don't care because you're uninterested in the information that suggests that what I'm saying about you and your character right now is accurate.
Wait, Oscar, I just said the opposite. I said, as somebody that literally drove Lyft all through the year of 2020, when people showed up in my car to get in and they were wearing a mask, I put a mask on without being asked. I participated in that. And when people got in and they didn't have a mask, and they said they didn't care if I wore a mask or if I had a mask, and they said, I don't care if you wear that, and I took it off. I wasn't doing anything. That's an
irresponsible approach, and you may have killed a person by doing that.
No, I didn't.
If you were sick and asymptomatic with COVID, not wearing a mask in a car that you were using for rideshare would have spread your spit droplets all around that vehicle, and somebody could have gotten in your car, gotten it on their hands, gone home, died of COVID, and because there's no way to check how they got it, no amount of contact tracing is going to figure out perfectly. That may have happened. That could have happened with me too. I may have also killed somebody with COVID, but I tried not to, and you only tried not to under social pressure of people who were right there in front of you because you are too small-minded to consider anything other than what's right in front of you.
I volunteered and did this. I told you the opposite.
You should have worn the mask the entire time you were in the car if you were using it for rideshare driving.
Why, so I could fucking die?
I'm sorry. Do you think that men driving around in cars with masks on die? ICE would like to speak to you about that.
Okay. Can we get back to these texts, please?
Do you think that men driving around with masks in cars die from it? Because ICE would like to have a word with you.
Are you pivoting?
We're going to read the texts. I think this is the you episode, but answer the question. Why did you say that you were going to die if you wore a mask while driving? Just now. You just said that. What the fuck are you talking about?
Well, I probably didn't do myself any favor by not always using good mask.
Why did you say that you would have died if you wore the mask all the time?
I think there's studies that show it's bad to wear a mask all the time.
Then why do ICE agents wear masks all the time? Why do construction workers wear masks all the time? Why do surgeons wear masks all the time?
Well, they all have.
Why did I wear masks all the time when I was doing drywalling work?
Well, obviously because there's shit in the air you don't want to breathe in.
Yeah, in 2020 that was COVID.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Was it? Are you sure?
You're gonna yeah, that's your own experience. Also, we don't know if you didn't get it because you might have gotten
an antibody test. I got an antibody test like a year and a half after COVID started, like halfway through 2021. Nope, never got it.
Oh, so you trust the science that tells you that you hadn't had it?
Well, I was just curious because I had to go to the doctor anyways, and I just, hey, while I'm here, can we do a little antibody test?
Why do you trust the antibody tests but not the vaccines?
Well, because I was also thinking of other people, and at that time I had a grandma that was 90, and I didn't see my grandma when I wanted to.
Okay, so maybe it's true that if your antibody test was negative, then it is unlikely that you had COVID and killed somebody with it without knowing. You still created a situation where, yeah, but that's chance, dude. You still created a situation where that could have happened, where it was more likely to happen. You're still sitting here defending being a person who made that more likely to happen.
Who was the most likely to make that happen?
What?
Where did the virus come from?
China?
Where specifically in China?
Wuhan?
Was it in a lab?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know with certainty, no.
You don't trust the 3 biggest investigation agencies in American that they did this all under Biden? You don't agree when they say the most likely place was the lab?
They say I didn't say that it wasn't likely. I'm not educated enough about that, but they didn't say it with certainty. The scientific community doesn't have a consensus about how exactly the COVID-19 pandemic got started. So I remain agnostic to the issue.
Wait, have you never looked in to see what the Department of Energy, which I didn't know until this, but you know the Department of Energy?
There are credible claims, yeah, but none of them have met the burden for me to assert that it was made in a lab, which is why I'm sitting here agnostic and confidently answering these questions honestly. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. So you want to give the benefit of the doubt to Dr. Fauci here?
Mm-hmm.
Because it would be really unfortunate if he gave money to NGOs in which funded that, which he had no oversight.
I don't know. I don't think it would be a problem for Anthony Fauci to give money to NGOs to study this. That's consistent with his history as a health professional.
You do know that when asked, like, he had never been in that lab. There was no oversight.
Which lab?
In the
I don't know.
Wuhan.
I'm not surprising. It's not surprising.
We had no oversight in China where they were creating shit.
Okay, and that's why I'm agnostic to the possibility that they did something like that. I'm going to read some donations while you try to figure out exactly what it is you're trying to tell me. Jammerbank sent $2 to say, wait more, Mr. Impatient. Thank you, Jammerbank. Blue sent $2 to say, caller, nothing is going to happen to Anthony Fauci. I hope not. I need you to, we will if you let us get there. I think I'm giving you the whole episode today. So
you've been scared to read these things for an hour.
Chat, yes or no? do I look at all scared of any component of this conversation,
You
including
look terrified.
the texts that we are in fact about to read? Just
I should hope
give me
so.
a yes or a no in the chat if you think I'm scared to read the texts that the caller is accusing me of being scared of reading. Which, by the way, I have not read. I have no idea what's in them.
Oscar.
No,
Oscar,
it's
do
not
you
your turn to
think
speak. It's time for me to read more of the donation messages. Live for my baby sent sent $10 to say I got COVID after getting vaccinated and it was a mild case. I didn't have to go to the hospital, and even better, I survived. Imagine that. Wow, glad that happened to you. Price sent $2 to say please just run again. Yeah, I think that people are getting sick of you. August sent $10 to say caller was putting others like me at risk who have health issues. My cancer makes it hard enough for me to stay healthy, and he was making it so countless others were at risk. Yeah, he's a total piece of shit for that. Don of Alaska, thank you for the $50, dude.
Bullshit.
I need you to shut up. I need you to shut up so I can thank Don of Alaska. They sent me $50. I need you to shut up so that I can thank Don of Alaska for sending me $50. That's a lot of money. Thank you, Don of Alaska. Dude, shut up. I'm not going to start reading their message.
Don, bro.
I want you to shut up. That's what you can do to show that you're thankful for Don, because if you shut up, I will be able to read their message, which is what they paid $50 for me to do. So I need you to... I don't. You're talking right now. Just close your fucking mouth and I'll have the floor. Don of Alaska sent me $50 to say, this fucking fuck. I was an ER nurse during COVID. I have PTSD from that period of time. Fucking Captain Hindsight. Yeah, I agree with their assessment that you're a fucking fuck. I agree completely.
Yeah, I would be curious if that guy was coordinating dances in hospital while they had dead patients.
Do not talk like that about the healthcare workers who went through that. Okay,
That's
I joined in 2021, and what happened to all of us was fucking traumatizing.
Coordinated dances in the hospital halls.
Traumatizing. We watched people die.
It's traumatizing to watch nurses that are supposed to be saving people coordinate dances. They practice this on their lunch breaks.
I'm fucking done.
Whenever.
Jesse's hovering the disconnect button, and I'm inclined to agree that you deserve a ban from my show for that dig against healthcare workers. I'm sorry. Do you think that somebody having a moment of brevity, a moment of peace, a moment of happiness amidst a terrible time, do you think that because you can go back to December, January, February, March in Minneapolis and find me having a nice time once in a while during Metro Surge means that everything I said about Metro Surge is false? Fuck you, dude. I gave you a lot of fucking airtime and you used every second of it to demonstrate that you're a monstrous piece of shit. And just to show you that I'm not a fucking coward, I'm going to read these donation messages and then we're going to look at these Anthony Fauci texts and you're going to be screaming your fucking head off in the chat about it, I'm sure. Don't mute him, mods. Unless he breaks like some serious rules, don't mute him.
Don, like I said, I was late to the party when I joined the healthcare workforce. Thank you for your time working in the ER. Doesn't matter where you were. I was a rural hospital and it hit us like a truck. People left the field in swaths. I mean, we have never fully recovered the amount of employees that we lost because they just couldn't take it anymore. I will not sit here and listen to anybody shit on the healthcare workers who had a moment of peace, maybe a smile here and there, because of how horrific. People just showed up to work in the morning knowing that they were going to get traumatized again, knowing that they were going to say goodbye to faces that they had been taken care of. This is hard. This was hard. It was the scariest time to be alive and in healthcare. And people gave basically their mental clarity. They gave every part of their body, their health, to try and help while getting just constantly shit on that COVID is fake. COVID isn't real. The vaccines aren't worth it. We saw Nurse Elliott donate this morning and say the vaccines are the safest thing. And listen, all we got was horrible shit. I would go and hear it from the patients who were actively dying of it, that this was a hoax. I'm like, okay, why can't you breathe, man? I just can't take listening to that rhetoric anymore. Not when a healthcare worker sent us 50 fucking bucks to say fuck that fucking fuck. Cause yeah. All right. It's that fucking deep.
I think I'm going to give Bad Views a soft ban, which means I'm not going to ban his account and he can show up in the chat, but he's not welcome on the show. And I have a task for the 1,000 people listening, which is I want you to remember that when Bad Views goes around and says that he cooked me and got me to run away from him and hide from him, you're going to remind him that episode 114 of the Oskar Quentin show is all you will ever need to know about Bad Views. Bad Views, episode 114. That's going to follow you forever. Rachel, thank you for the $3. Healthcare professionals put their lives on the line every day during COVID to keep assholes like him safe. W them and L guest. Yeah. That was even before that whole thing. That one came in earlier. Melanie sent $5 to say there's also plenty of data showing that the economic harm due to long COVID, but Trump admin pulled funding for that. Adding to this, since Collar doesn't give a shit about public health. Clearly fucking doesn't. Saga sent me $5, $6, something like that, to say the problem is that most MAGA is both scientifically and medically illiterate, which means they don't understand anything that is or was done. They just don't have the education to understand. Well, and in addition to that, they aren't willing to learn. They aren't interested in actually looking at any of this and making honest assessments about a good way to interpret any of this or anything like that. Lisa, thank you for the $5 on Cash App. She said my dad had pulmonary fibrosis and wore a mask. W Lisa's dad. Seriously. W everybody who wore a fucking mask. W everybody who listened to the fucking health advice of medical professionals. Blue sent $2 to say mask on people during pandemic. Bad. Oh wait, mask on people during pandemic. Bad. Mask ice. Okay. Yeah, I pointed out that hypocrisy. Jennifer Ferguson has been a member on a month, and they used their monthly member message to say, I was a pandemic during COVID, and David just got replaced for top B, a paramedic. Can't read today, my goodness. I was a paramedic during COVID, and David just got replaced for top B. Bad views might be top bitch. Bottom bitch? No, top bitch is worse than bottom bitch. Bottom bitch is good, right? I don't know. I don't use these terms. August has been a member for a month. My heart broke listening to Jessie speak. Please tell her thank you for everything, and I'm so sorry that she had to listen to this. Thanks, Jessie.
It's okay, guys. Like I said, it pisses me off more because, like I said, I joined in 2021, and I feel like actual, like, I don't want to say trauma because I wasn't in the worst of it, but that point in my life is so terrifying to look back on. And I was in 2021. I was a year late to the game.
Yeah. Nurse Elliot said for $1, for everyone in healthcare listening, we know what we experienced. Stand tall. Don't let people like this trigger you. We did our best. You're valid and loved. I'll co-sign the shit out of that one. Thank you, Nurse Elliot.
Love you, Nurse Elliot. Thank you.
I think we should read these texts from Fauci so that Bad Views doesn't think I'm a coward. From Dr. Murthy to Dr. Fauci on January 25th, same day as the other one. Hi, Tony and Rochelle. Hope you're both doing well. For pregnant women considering getting the vaccine, are you aware of any data or theoretical reason why vaccinating early versus late in the pregnancy would be preferred? And any sense of when there will be more robust data on vaccine risk in pregnant women? I've been telling pregnant women that there hasn't been evidence concerning adverse outcomes in the trials, though the number of pregnant subjects was likely to have been limited. I figured we have many who are in the healthcare workforce who are getting vaccinated, so presume we'll be tracking outcomes. Thanks, from Vivek.
Somebody said throw them on the screen.
Oh, whoopsie daisy. These are like screenshots, so I can't zoom in on them as well as I would like to. I'm actually going to use my secondary one so that I can get this a little bit better. Oops, let's not do that. Let's do this. Why is it not selecting? Oh, I locked it. There we go. Unlocked. Let's make this as big as we can. And make sure that everybody can read. All right, we'll go pull up the bottom, make this bigger. Oops. Sorry, everybody. Sometimes these PDFs in particular are just a little difficult for showing live on the show, just because they don't let me. It's a picture, so it's not gonna move the text in such a way. Anyway, I'll creep over here so that people on YouTube can see a little bit of my face. All right, so that was on January 21st, and then from Dr. Walensky to Dr. Fauci, when also the same day, January 25th of 2021. Hi, Vivek. My understanding is that this is all data free. Wait, this is all a data. I'm not understanding. My understanding is that this is all a data free. I don't understand that sentence. CDC has implemented a pregnancy registry for F/I of pregnant women. Do you know what that means? Are you interpreting that?
Someone in the chat will.
Somebody in the chat will. Somebody please tell me what that means. Women who report they are pregnant in V-Safe have the opportunity to enroll with F/L. I don't know what that is. 1 year after vax doses through their pregnancy. For live births, infants will have
follow-up.
Oh yeah, at 3 months. To date, greater than 50,000 pregnant women are enrolled in V-Safe. So it looks like they're talking about the sample sizes they have for assessing these sorts of things.
Oh, somebody said they think that F/I is health or protected health information.
Oh, okay, sure. And then let's get this over here so we can read what Dr. Fauci had to say about this. There we go. Agree with Rochelle. There are no data for or theoretical reason to believe that vaccinating early versus later in pregnancy would be preferred, yet some people, even female healthcare professionals, feel concerned about injecting a genetic vaccine very early in pregnancy. There is this misperception out there that we need to deal with that mRNA can somehow get into your genes. When the misperception gets extended to when the misperception gets extended to an early developing fetus, the anxiety heightens. So he's talking about how the concern that mRNA vaccines are going to affect the DNA of children is like a misconception. I happen to know that that's not how DNA works. That's not a concern. That's equally as sensible as being concerned that you're going to catch cancer from somebody. It's just not, because cancer is a genetic disorder. That's just not how it works. Fauci followed up same day, about an hour and a half later, saying, I asked around a bit more, and another issue came up that you need to be aware of. So this is the one we saw on the previous page. Many people have significant cytokines storm and fever after the second dose. This theoretically could be associated with miscarriage in the first trimester. So
Cytokines, by the way.
Cytokines, thank you. Got a medical professional on the other side of the room who knows their terminology. From Dr. Walensky to Dr. Fauci, and then there's a participant delivered red. Definitely a good point, especially after dose 2. So that's just kind of agreeing that they wanted that to be looked at. And then over here we've got from Dr. Murphy to Dr. Fauci. Same day, another hour later. This is really helpful. Thanks. I've been hearing the concern about the mRNA causing mutations in the developing fetus as well. This is a really good point. Re the cytokine storm post second dose. Dr. Murphy followed up, let's see, the day later, the following afternoon on January 26th. Tony, Rochelle, did you see this announcement today from WHO saying they advise against pregnant women taking the Moderna vaccine because of lack of data? It has led to a flurry of questions. What is your take? I imagine we will all get asked about this. That sounds reasonable. And then Dr. Fauci, or Dr. Murthy, also messaged to Dr. Fauci, same day, like a moment later, with a link to that announcement and some other links about that sort of stuff. And then Dr. Fauci responded when, let's see, right away, 20 minutes later, he responded by saying on January 26th, let me just get this framed so everybody can see it. I would say that in any vaccine in which data are lacking in pregnant women, one must weigh the potential risks against the benefit. COVID-19 can be a serious disease, especially in pregnancy. In the vaccine trials, pregnant women were not allowed, but following the EUA, a large number, more than 10,000 pregnant women have been vaccinated. No issues have arisen. The FDA and the ACIP and the ACOG are all permissive for pregnant women to have a choice. Animal tox studies did not raise any red flags. So it looks like they're investigating these concerns about the weighing the risks for pregnant people. Because, by the way, everybody, if the concern is fever in a pregnant woman, in a pregnant woman, fever is concerning because it can cause problems for the developing child. But if the disease you're inoculating against causes extreme fever, you have to fucking weigh that. So this is not specific to COVID. This is how medicine fucking works. But you know, I hope that guy's still watching. Is Bad Views still in, or has he moved on to somebody else? All right, where were we? Did I read this one already? That's what my sense was. Well, Tony, which is why I'm surprised to see WHO put out a strong, saying they do not recommend Moderna in pregnant women. That's a strong statement to make and potentially quite damaging to the public confidence among pregnant women. That's from Dr. Murthy to Dr. Fauci. I agree. Based on the information we're seeing in these texts, it does seem like that was a little hasty by the WHO. Dr. Walensky to Dr. Fauci said, agreed. Sorry, was driving and missed this ACIP meeting tomorrow. Shall I flag it for them? So just talking some logistics. So there, those are all the texts. That's the whole thing. Jesse, is any of that inconsistent with what I had assessed it was probably going to show prior to even reading the text messages?
I don't think so. I really don't.
I bet Bad Views disagrees.
I wish Bad Views would do what I did and sit and watch that 3-hour thing that that Fauci had to sit through, his 3-hour hearing.
Thank you for doing that. Jesse wrote a report on it so I could be educated on it when it happened.
It was a long thing to watch. I mean, and I do agree. Listen, I don't agree with everything Fauci did by any means. I think he is a human, and I think he was reacting in a crisis. You know?
Yeah, I like the one thing I can give the Republicans is that there's a lack of certainty here. Like, nobody's
Yeah.
been doubting that. Like, I even started by saying that, like, the hand washing thing was a little bit silly at the beginning with the clarity of hindsight. The amount of attention we gave that was a little bit silly.
But I mean, it's been 6 years, and they're just putting him on a public stage to try and get him to criminalize himself, trying to embarrass him in the worst way. I think it's just another way that this administration is going after their enemies, people that they disagreed with, and I just personally, like, it's just icky to me. I like I said, I don't agree with everything Fauci did, but I've found myself more on the side of him since this started, because it's like, what are we doing? There's so much that needs to be investigated right now that is so prevalent, but we're ignoring it to go after things that cannot be fixed now. Can't do anything about 2020 now.
Yep. Claudia sent us $150 on Venmo. I'm a nurse. My husband is a paramedic. This donation is for all healthcare workers and for the work you and your team do every day. Thank you, Oskar and Jessie. And don't forget Raven. Raven's not in the producer's chair today. Raven's actually probably not even watching the show. Raven's very busy editing the clips that go up on the social media to get this show pumped out to more people. Claudia, thank you. On behalf of myself, I mean, Jessie's here. She can thank you herself. But on behalf of Raven and the rest of the team.
And thank you for the work you and your partner did during COVID.
Yeah.
Like I said, all of this, I have so much appreciation for everybody who even showed up for a freaking day. That it was terrible. It was terrible.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna try to spend that money wisely, keeping this thing going and keep doing the work that we're doing on this show, because it's really important to me, and it's a huge deal to me that there's so many people who are willing to take a chunk out of their wallet and send it so that we can keep doing bigger and better things every day. I really do seriously appreciate it, Claudia. It's huge. It took me like a month to make me my first $150 doing this show. So the fact that somebody can just push the show that much forward, and with the click of a button, and get a message read like that, like, it's a huge deal to me personally. It's crazy. It's crazy how many people are interested in what we're doing here. It's fucking exciting. Blue Baron sent $2 to say mask on people. I already read that one. I forgot to mark it. Thank you though. And then we had August, member for a month.
Yep.
I already read that, but I'll read it again. My heart broke listening to Jessie speak. Please tell her thank you for everything, and I'm so sorry she had to listen to this. Thank you, Jessie. Dawn of Alaska sent $2 to say I'm teary-eyed. Thank you. I appreciate all of you.
Yeah, thanks again, Dawn of Alaska, and thanks for finally being that catalyst that got me to get rid of that fucking guy. Oh my god.
Did Dawn of Alaska help you drop that guy?
That was the $50 donation. Oh. That's what sparked it.
Oh.
Set me off.
How wonderful.
Yeah, thanks, Dawn.
Are we talking to Screechmiester? Is that what's happening? Is that what happens next? Maybe he'll behave himself today. We never know what it's going to be when we have Screechmeister on. Screechmeister, I think I remember. You're 53, right?
Yes. Yeah, 55. You always fuck that up.
God damn it.
I'm writing it down this time.
I need to post it on my post-it board that says Screechmeister's 55. What are we talking about today?
All right, I'm going to shock the hell out of both of you, okay? That fucking idiot, I can say that, right?
You can call him a fucking idiot. He was definitely a fucking idiot.
That you just had up there, okay? I was in the hospitals in Anschutz in Aurora, Colorado at the time that this first hit. There was bodies stacked on top of one another in the fucking hallways. They literally put us in the room, and we had to have a mask on at all times. We couldn't do anything. So for him to sit there and say whatever he was saying, I just shut down when he kept making health workers sound like they were morons. You know what I mean? It was crazy.
I do know what you mean. It's fucking insane that people like him call into this show and doubt what medical professionals have to say about medicine. I'm going to say W. Screechmeister for that.
I mean, they actually saved my life through that, because I had colon cancer, I have lupus, that I have all that medical shit that when I did catch it, it was because some guy like him didn't wear a fucking mask and do what they were supposed to do, and I almost died over it. So I just wanted to come up and let all the health workers know, thank you, you saved my life, you know what I mean, through all of it. And yeah, everybody was supposed to wear their masks and do whatever they're supposed to do, get the shots, do whatever. And the only thing that saved me was hydroxychloroquine that they said was the deterrent. So other than that, that's all I really wanted to say was that I agree with you. And if anybody that's ever watched this show and I've been on, they know that you and I don't have the best rapport. You can't stand me. Sometimes I can't stand you.
We actually I would argue that while we disagree about a lot of stuff, we actually have pretty good rapport. Yeah, we people are saying in the chat rare Screech W, but like the Screech W's aren't actually all that rare. It's just that the L's are also pretty severe. So there's there's a mix. But I believed in you, Screech. When you first called in, I thought, no. I think this is a person who can listen and be reached. And you do demonstrate more and more. It's a little up and down, a little zigzaggy. But when you call into my show, you are more and more convincing me that you can be reached. And you've done a little bit more of that in this brief call by demonstrating that you do recognize the efficacy of our healthcare system. And it would be totally silly to ignore all the good work that they've done to keep us all healthy for longer than any of us have been alive, because we all sit on the shoulders of giants who figured out medicines before we were born that prevented the doctors who figure out medicines today from dying of polio when they were children, to simplify.
Yes. And then when I do lose with you, I go and I study up to make sure I don't, try harder to try to beat you. You know what I mean? I don't quit. I try.
Yeah. You keep fighting, Screech. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
But I do want to thank Jessica and all them that have done that. You know what I mean? That helps people. I mean,
Screech, I wish you could see the face Jessie made when you called her Jessica.
I mean, it is my name. It's just so funny. I never hear it.
No, when I learned that your full name was Jessica, I said, Jessie, you really come across to me as the type of bitch who would fight someone named Jessica.
But that's all I wanted to say, Oscar. I don't want to tie up your show, but other than that, I just want you to know that dude, he deserved to get kicked, you know what I mean? Like long before in that conversation. But I know you, and I know you got to get there and get it.
There are a lot of people who thought that you should have been kicked and never allowed back up, and I think I made the right choice on you. I really do look forward to our more oppositional calls. Doesn't feel like this is going to be one of them, though.
No, kick him. Let it be a good day. Let it be a good day.
Yeah. We can just have today be a Screech W. Don't tell me anything about Ilhan Omar.
I wasn't even going to go there. I was leaving that out of
Let's not fucking go there. Let's not ruin it.
I was just going to... That's all I was coming up to say, is that the health workers kept me alive, and they kept a lot of other people alive, but he wasn't in the hospitals when I was. And I was in 2020 where I was seeing them. They didn't have room in the morgue to put these bodies, and they were stacking them up in the hallways.
Hell yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'm gonna let you go, and I'm going to say W Screech for today.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing, Screech. And I don't want to play that down either. The people who were hospitalized for COVID or something other than COVID, but at that time, also went through some traumatic shit. So there are everyday people who saw what we went through, and it's people like Screech, and they know what was going on there. I mean, it was scary for everyone. So yeah, rare Screech W. Sorry you had to go through that, Screech.
Yeah. We'll have him back. We'll get some Screech L's, I promise. But today it's only W's. And W's for Emily. She sent $25 on Venmo to say incredible work and advocacy as always. Love you guys. Love you too, Emily. Thank you very much for supporting the show. I know that Jessie appreciates it, and I know that Raven appreciates it, because we all get jobs. We got a job creation program here. The show has created 3 jobs thanks to the donors. I'm one of them. I'm very much thankful for it. But Mustard, she said for $5, rare Screech W, which again, they're not actually all that rare. Among my oppositional callers, he gets more W's than most. His L's are just very, very severe. So we'll get back to that another day. Snake, who does the news over in the Discord, sent $2 to say thanks, Screech, for supporting healthcare workers. Absolutely, it deserves our attention. And I think that's one of the things I'm critical about other debate hosts in general, is that like you got to give the W's when you see them. Like if we say W this, but I'm not going to give it to you because of your stance on that, we're just not going to make progress. And that's why we have people who think that like Iowa golfer is not making any progress because he still has some nasty beliefs about like Israel or abortion or something, where it's like, yeah, but we've made real progress on the rich. We've made real progress on Trump being a criminal. We've made real problems with the current administration being a danger to democracy. Those are big fucking W's from somebody who wasn't so open to those ideas a few months ago. And I'm very excited to see the Screech saga, especially because we do have plans to make it so that like we're going to put all the Screech conversations as their own YouTube videos into a playlist on YouTube. That's a like kind of a semi backburnered project while we get caught up on clips. But once we have more editing capacity here at Oskar Quentin Studios, because we're caught up on some of the stuff we've fallen behind on while getting everybody trained up and dealing with the Dean Withers storm and all that stuff that's happened. Once we're caught up and we've got more spare time in the office to do that sort of thing, we're going to make it so that if you want to watch Iowa golfer get deconstructed, you can. And I hope we're going to do the same with Screech, because both of them are on their way, and those are the real W's. That's why we run the show. That's what it's all about. That is the most important stuff, fundamentally. Bloomburger's here. That's paradoxoftolerance. I'll let him get a word in edgewise because the queue is empty. Ain't nobody want to get dealt get dealt with the way that first caller was dealt with today. So maybe they've all run away. How you doing, Bloomburger? You there?
Hold on, I'm disconnecting my Bluetooth.
Oh, sure. Just to answer in the chat, when I said the Dean storm, I just meant it because I had a lot of traffic to my pages when Dean endorsed me and had me on his show and all that, and endorsed my skills as a debate host. That just had me very busy. That's all I mean by that. There's no drama or anything. I'm just talking about the boost in engagement I've gotten because of Dean's support of the show. W. Dean for that. And Parker. Dean and Parker have been very kind to me, and I do really enjoy co-hosting with both of them. For $5, Emily sent $5 to my Venmo to say, my very conservative father-in-law quit supporting Trump over his mishandling of COVID. I never thought that could happen. For everybody, it's going to be something, and for a lot of people, it was that. So I am excited about that at the end of the day. Lots of people in the chat are saying that they found me because of Dean. They want me to make drama? No drama. I don't want drama. No drama. Bloomberg, are you there?
Yeah, thanks for having me up. I just want to come up just 2 minutes real quick on, because common sense was talked about a lot today. And that's something that kind of perked me up. There was a study, it was an internal study done by the corporation that I worked at about 10 years ago. Logistics company, literally the 800-pound gorilla in the industry, specifically around common sense with truck drivers. Because, truck drivers are the #1 job code for men in the United States. Have I told you this before?
No, this is a new one for me.
Yeah, it's a fascinating study. And, I have 20 years in logistics and transportation. It's something that was proven every day. I've worked with tens of thousands of drivers. And this is really interesting. So, like I said, the #1 job code for men in the United States is truck driver. A lot of that's because of farmers and agriculture where they have to have CDLs. But just a side note, the #1 for women is school teacher. But so they did a study across, and like I said, this was an internal study, so I'm sorry I can't give you a source on it, but I'll just speak to it quickly. They did a study over 2 decades across all working demographics because, truck drivers are like the last American cowboys. They're out there surviving on street smarts all alone, like literally common sense, right? They have low education. They're, in their mid 50s. It's a unique job. And this study was around, like I said, common sense. And truck drivers across everything, like you're talking about stay-at-home moms all the way up to doctors, lawyers, the high education professionals. Truck drivers ranked second when it came to common sense. Do you know which group ranked first?
No, I'm very curious though.
Yeah. Anybody have any guesses in the chat? I'll just give it like just a few seconds.
Let's stall it for 30 seconds. I do want to see some guesses roll in.
I'm sorry. Can you say that again? I want to guess whatever.
Truck drivers are ranked second for having the best common sense in this study, and we're trying to figure out the occupation that ranked first. And I am actually not all that surprised to find that people who deal with real world problems, work with their hands, and see lots of different parts of the country in the nature of their work ranked highly.
I want to say a welder's, some sort of dangerous skilled labor job. Nurses and EMTs would be my next guess.
Educators were up there. We had teachers, right? I can give myself a shout out. Is it my group? Is it teachers?
The answer is the group that ranked higher than truck drivers was everybody else. Literally everybody else ranked higher than truck drivers.
Oh man, you even got me speculating about why it was truck drivers.
I was sitting here, I was like, man, I didn't expect it to be that high. But that's the thing, because it makes sense. Yeah, you would be of course, they're making these decisions that affect literally everyone on the road. You're like, yes, I would hope they're. Yeah, chat is lighting up laughing. That was pretty good.
You got me. Look at that.
Good paradox.
To your point, common sense isn't isn't a good thing. Trust the experts. Learn as much as you can. Learn other people's perspectives as well. Like, I consider your live every day. I hope you see me in here. I'm listening and learning. And I encourage everybody else, especially MAGA, to do that. You have to get outside of your box. We don't get to choose the environment in which we are raised. We don't get to choose our family. And that's where I've seen, like, congrats on your converts, because these kids especially, you know, they don't get to choose the information that was introduced to them.
Nope.
And so
a lot of people are just the way they are because that's how they got raised, and then they get shit out into the voting world as an 18-year-old, and I got to fucking deal with them. So that's what I do.
At the same time, we can call them out on saying, I don't like the things that you think or the things that you've learned, but that doesn't mean I don't like you.
I do try to start from a place of kindness and stay there if possible. But we even let bad views get kind of back to a place of kindness after lots of yelling today. Sometimes we like go full circle on it just so we can actually talk about some stuff. But on that, I think I'll let you go for the day.
All right, thanks a lot. Take care.
Appreciate you, dude. And I appreciate Lucky Phil for saying, say butt mustard again for $2 on Buy Me a Coffee. He also added to the message, good boy. Thank you, Lucky Phil, and go fuck yourself. Alex sent $5 on Buy Me a Coffee to say, I watch nurses break down and cry because of people like this guy. They witness people dying in one room. In the next room, you can have the deniers. In Illinois, the guy in charge of ordering semi-truck freezers for dead bodies kept the receipt to show the deniers. Yeah, dude, I'm a New Yorker. I know about them freezer trucks, at least in my city. Frankie, thank you for the $5 over on Venmo. He said, a hit dog hollers. This one for Jessie. Her words on the experience of a healthcare worker during COVID sent chills down my spine. Thank you for putting your foot down. Thank you kindly for your work. Thank you, Jessie.
Thank you.
Did I read Emily's? I think I did read Emily's. Yes, I did. And then Chester's been a member for 2 months, so they used their monthly member message to say, I would argue that railroaders are in the same boat as truckers. I think that came in before the joke got announced to everybody. But on that, I have decided, I was typing to Jessie about this a few minutes ago. I have decided this is the Bad Views episode. That being the case, we're going to wrap now and say that if you want to know about Bad Views' Bad Views, it's episode 114 of the Oskar Quentin Show. And I will ask for, let's see who we're going to raid. Who's online? Oh, no way. Oh, okay. I thought it was just Parker, but I'm on Oskar Quentin too, and I'm not following everybody over there. There we go. Is that RJ's show or is he on somebody else's show? He's on somebody else's show. Sorry, it takes me a minute to think out loud and pick somebody to raid. Maybe some people in the chat can let me know who we should raid and we can pick somebody. You know what? Is this? Hold on.
I'm seeing a lot of Dougs.
Doug? Do I know Doug?
No. Who's Doug?
I think I want to go to Brett Cross. I haven't crossed paths with him, but we're gonna go to Brett Cross, and the username is Brett Cross 0524, BRETTCROSS 0524. Get that spamming in the chat. Very interested to talk to him about gun rights. I think he's more knowledgeable than me, and I have some opinions about gun rights that are maybe a little incongruent with people on the left, because I'm a little bit more pro-gun than most people who are as far left as I am. So I would love to talk to him someday. But anyway, I do watch his streams from time to time. So I think you should go raid Brett and tell him that Oskar says hi, because I don't even know if he knows that I exist. You should also, before you get out of here, make sure that you're following Oskar Quentin too, and all of that stuff. But without further ado, go say hi to Brett for me, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow, 10 o'clock Central Time on YouTube and TikTok. Goodbye, TikTok. And goodbye, YouTube.